Metallica, here they come, the kings of metal.
So fucking what?
Hey everybody, I'm Lzzy.
And I'm Joe. We're from the band Halestorm.
And you're listening to Metal Up Your Podcast.
We make this cool?
Welcome to Metal Up Your Podcast. I'm Ethan Luck.
And I'm Clint Wells.
And this is episode 112. And this week is an exciting week. We've got Joe and Lzzy from Halestorm.
So cool. They just came by. They gave us their time. They told us about their new record, Vicious. They told us everything we wanted to know about what it's like being Halestorm. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was. I felt like a very casual conversation. Felt less like an interview and just like talking to your friends.
They couldn't have been nicer, really.
Yeah.
And in fact, so much we're going to go have a beer with them tomorrow night.
Yeah, we are.
Are we best friends or something? Did that already happen?
I think we just became best friends.
Well, I guess we'll have to see how that beer goes.
That's true. Yeah.
If you're joining us for the first time, we are an all Metallica podcast. Ethan and I are two professional musicians here in Nashville. Every Monday, whether from our various studios here or from buses and hotel rooms from all over the world on tour, we get together to talk about our favorite metal band, the mighty Metallica.
This is correct.
Now, before we get to our conversation with Lzzy and Joe, we have a few housekeeping things to get to. First of all, if you like the show, go leave us a positive review on iTunes. Only takes a second. It's free to do. Goes a long way. We also have the Patreon.
We do.
You're going to hear a commercial about that later. All sorts of perks over at the Patreon. But the bare minimum, we like to at least give people a shout out and say thank you. So we have 3 new patrons.
3 new patrons this week. We have Richard Goldenson, who increased their pledge.
Nice.
Homas.
Sorry, it's Thomas.
Oh, it's Thomas. Oh, the T is missing. I thought Homas was a cool name.
Maybe his name should be Homas Yazwiak.
Homas Yazwiak. That's your new name, by the way. And Graham Stark.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
guys.
very much.
Really appreciate
That's
that.
so kind of you. For real. Thank you.
Support at the Patreon level is real important, and one of the cool things you get in addition to the Our World Blackened EPs and all this sorts of stuff is you get to ask our guests, like Lzzy and Joe from Halestorm, a bunch of questions, which they did.
They did, yeah.
Anything else we want to say? We were on the socials.
We're on all the socials. You know where to find us. Look up Metal Up Your Podcast. You can email us at metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. Go to metalupyourpodcast.com. We got all sorts of cool shit there. Other podcasts we've been on.
Yep.
You just recorded, I think, one this morning, so that'll probably be up there at some point. It's a one-stop shop for all things Metal Up Your Podcast.
Yeah, it's cool. Ethan's got another podcast called The Pirate Satellite.
Yeah.
I've got another podcast with my friend Bob Schneider called I'm Okay, You're Okay, I'm Not Okay, You're Not Okay. If you want to find all the different things that we're doing, metalupyourpodcast.com is the way to do it.
Yeah, it's a plethora of things.
We get more emails than we could possibly read on the show. We like to pick out 5. You can email us, metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com, as Ethan said. And right now we're going to take it to the email corner.
Let's do it.
All right, you want to get us started?
I would love to. Our first email is from Marcia Balaz?
Bellagio. The Bellagio.
It's tough when there's an S after the Z.
That also might be a typo on my part.
That's hard.
That's hard to say.
I don't know how to say that. I'm going to say Balaz.
All right.
Hello, brothers. Just got done listening to the Black Album episode, and I think you guys were drinking too much blackened whiskey. What's interesting?
We did clear the bottle.
I mean, whatever. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. This album is a masterpiece, song 1 through 12. Yes, Ethan, even Don't Tread on Me, and yes, Clint, even Struggle Within. Real quick. Just want to say, I love Don't Tread on Me.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Right.
It is my least favorite song on the record. It doesn't mean it's a bad song. I think it's still an awesome song.
Here's the deal. One of the songs has to be the least favorite.
Yeah, all of you have a least favorite on Master of Puppets.
Should we say Struggle Within is my most favorite least favorite song ever on
It's
a
my
record?
most favorite least favorite song. I think that's a good way
There
to
we
put
go.
it. Yeah. She says, tell you a little story. In high school, a group of 12 or so of us took our cars and trucks down a dirt road during our spare...
Is this a country song?
I think it is, yeah. Our spare class, grab a couple cases of beer, parked alongside of the road, and cranked up the Black Album. We would listen to it front to back. We would dance, headbang, make out with our girlfriends, and drink our beers. We just had a blast every time we heard this album, especially high school dances when Sandman came on. It was amazing. Anyways, love the podcast. I will sign up for Patreon when I get a chance. Please give my thanks to Paul for a great episode. Cheers, Steve Balaz from Langton, Ontario, Canada, New Jersey.
All right, so that's Steve, but the email says Marsha.
Steve says Marsha.
Maybe it's Marsha Steve.
Marsha.
Steve. Kyle Hotchkiss, who's a new patron, says, "Sup, brothers? I'm Kyle from the Bay Area, California, New Jersey. Been loving the show. Got into the show recently after meeting the one and only Metallicla's Chris Yergis at a small forum meetup before the All Within My Hands benefit show last year. He told me how great you both are and how well the show was put together, and I've been hooked ever since. It's been especially cool hearing through the show how much he contributes to the Metal Up and Metallica family. We do got to give it up for Chris Yergis. He's been such a good friend to the show, donated so many cool things that we've been able to...
Metallicla's, man.
Metallicla's, that's why I got the name. He says, just wanted to thank you, Clint and Ethan, for putting together an amazing show that's let me connect with more Metallica family. Listening to your love for Metallica always brings a smile to my face. It's a great feeling connection through our shared enjoyment of their music. Looking forward to diving into your cover EPs and some of your other work. Add me to the list of people who will buy you a beer next time you're in the Bay Area. Thank you, Kyle. Well, thank you so much, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle. It's very nice. Next email is from Laura Bolton. Hey, guys. Great idea from Paul. Come to Europe next year, preferably the UK and preferably Oxford, where I think Tom Quee is also based, and not that far from London for Metallica's June gig. Just saying. Seriously, boys, you guys have been knocking it out of the park with Metallica Week. All the backstage stories, shenanigans were awesome to hear about. Take care, Laura.
Thanks, Laura. Well,
it would be cool.
Paul planted the idea. We're going to see about...
Logistically, a lot harder than driving to Birmingham, Alabama.
A bigger commitment for sure, because it's going to depend on finances, touring, logistics, schedule, family.
Everything in our lives.
But I would like to see them over there. And it's funny, Tom Quee, he texted me and he was like, well, he's like, you guys are going to commandeer my party. And I was like, nope, it's going to be your party still.
And we don't have to do anything.
Except get drunk.
Exactly.
And make out later.
Yeah.
To nothing else matters.
I know.
Graham Stark, another new patron, says, hey, Clint and Ethan, what's up, guys? Nothing much. We just got done talking to
Halestorm.
To Halestorm.
Yeah.
That's exactly what just happened. Graham here, South African, living in Melbourne, Australia at the moment. Been listening to the show for about 3 weeks, started at episode 1 and making headway. Currently at episode 20 and loving it more and more. Man, he's got a long way to go.
Yeah, wow.
Also listening to the latest... Okay, so he's also catching up, too. Also listening to the latest episodes as they come out. Can't believe the podcast has been going for 2 years. Happy birthday, by the way. And by extension, the Hardwired record is already just over 2 years old. That's crazy.
It is.
It is crazy.
It is. Yeah, it's wild.
And we've already seen him on like 2 big legs, a stadium leg and an arena leg.
I know. I feel very fortunate.
It's all behind us now. Mommy. Loving the reissue stuff they've been doing in recent years. I've bought the Kill 'Em All through the Justice Deluxe box sets and Garage Days revisited vinyl reissue. He says, haven't yet opened any of them. What a waste, right? Well, depends on who you're asking, because some people see the value in keeping them sealed.
That's right, yeah.
I like to open those bitches up and play them loud.
Real loud.
Like super loud. Like
on at least 3.
Like turn it up like super loud, like as loud as you probably maybe can, and then turn it up louder.
Yeah, and then it's like a little bit louder.
It's a little bit louder than the most super loud.
Like I kind of want when someone says my name, go, what?
Huh? I can't hear you because it's
sorry,
so loud.
It's on 3.5.
You're going to have to say it louder because this is super loud.
Exactly.
In fact, it's a little louder than super loud.
My God.
I wonder how long we can do this loud bit.
I don't know, but maybe like if it went a little louder.
Just a little louder. Like take the loudest, even the little bit above super loud and do it even louder.
Like where your ears are bleeding, but they're not really bleeding. You just say they are.
Like I can't even tell if my ears are bleeding because it's so loud.
Right. It's like when people, you turn up and like melt your face off. It doesn't really melt your face off.
Like I feel like a little bit of maybe hot copperish liquid rolling out of my ear holes, or maybe it's just super loud.
Or I just a lot of earwax build up and it's hot out that day.
I haven't heard a single thing you've said because it's so loud.
What?
Exactly. Okay. Well, I like that we did double down and try to keep it going.
We really did, yeah. Don't even know who those characters are.
Still super loud, by the way.
It's so loud.
Okay. Also have the deluxe edition of the Back to the Front book, which included a piece from a road case that they used when shipping their equipment to Denmark for the Puppets recording and subsequent tour. A pretty cool piece of music history. Peace and adios, Graham. Well, thanks, Graham. I agree with all of that.
I agree with it, too, even though it's loud.
It's super loud.
Last email's from Anya, our good friend over the
what
pond,
up, Anya?
who we found out is actually Swedish, living in
We mistakenly
England.
called her a Londoner.
We've just mispegged her for everything. We thought it was a man,
right?
And
then we thought it was a merman,
a merman. And then we thought she was British,
right?
We're just all sorts of wrong with her.
That's
but
okay.
I think we have her pinpointed now.
Okay.
Swedish girl living in London. We're good.
Right.
Okay.
Not a merman.
It's loud.
Super loud.
Okay, guys. She says, guys, best episode yet. She's talking about the Black Album episode with Paul. It toppled my previous top spot, which was the Road Trip trilogy. Wow. She goes, I sense a little theme here. My favorite part was Paul singing along to the guitar solos. I do exactly the same when I listen to music in my car. The episode finally cemented the fact that the Black Album is my favorite. Previously, I couldn't decide between it or Ride the Lightning. I found myself getting stupidly excited about the same little details in the songs, and I think it was either in Rome or Through the Never. You all said in unison, "This is such a good song." We did. Exactly when I thought the very same words. I felt like it was. I was right there with you, right there in the room with you all. I'm also super excited about the coming to Europe idea. If it happens, I'll definitely buy you at least one round of beers. Cheers, Anya. P.S. I'm actually British. I just live here. I'm from Sweden.
Sweden. Okay, well, thanks, Anya. We're glad to get it straight finally. Yeah. I feel like I was saying this song is so good after every song on the Black Album.
I know.
I really like there was a moment with Joe and Lzzy here where the Black Album came up and like kind of maybe some of the controversy around it, and Joe was just like, I love that record.
I love that record.
Like, it's just like wasn't even, it just wasn't even a factor.
There's
that
no
it might,
question. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm that way. I was that way when there was controversy at the beginning, and I'm still that way. It's a perfect record.
Well, it's that easy. You can email us at metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com.
Boom.
We will read it on the show if we can. We read and respond to all of them personally, though, even if we don't do it on the show. So having said that, let's introduce everyone to Halestorm and get the hell out of here.
Let's do it.
Hey, it's Clint from Metal Up Your Podcast, and we hope you're enjoying the Metal Tales from the Road series. If you've been keeping up with us, then you already know that we've covered every stop on the 2018-2019 North American Arena Tour, and we look forward to catching up with all of our European friends later this year on the Stadium Tour overseas. And there's more! After the Stadium Tour, we are continuing the Metal Tales series for any Metallica show in the past. Maybe you saw one of the Orion festivals. Maybe you were at the Channel in 1984 and Cliff Burton bought you a beer. Maybe you were at one of the 30th anniversary shows, or you just saw a regular-ass show in North Dakota somewhere. We want to hear from you. Since Ethan and I started Metal Up Your Podcast, we've wanted to find a way for listeners to call in and share their stories. Well, this is it. To make yourself eligible for a future or past Metal Tales episode, please consider joining us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you not only get to come on the show as a guest, you also get both of our Cover Our World Blackened EPs, monthly giveaways like deluxe box sets, rare vinyl, posters, and other goodies. You get early access to our YouTube videos, and we also let you ask our guests, like Ray Burton, Michael Wagner, Halestorm, members of Slipknot, your very own questions. For what essentially amounts to 2 cups of coffee a month, you can ensure that Metal Up Your Podcast continues to grow in quality and content. For any of you on the ride with us, we love you, we thank you, peace and adios. So, if you don't know who Halestorm is, where have you been?
Where have you been? They're a band originally from Pennsylvania, moved to Nashville 6 years ago. They've got 4 records out, their newest one being called Vicious.
Which is super good, by the way.
It's
Our
really
friend
good.
Darren Edwards, who I think works for Atlantic Records over in Sweden,
Yeah.
when he came over doing some promo work for, I believe, Rival Sons, he came over to the studio. We did an episode with him, and he brought us Halestorm's new record, Vicious, on vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's their 4th record. Their single "Uncomfortable" is nominated for a Grammy. If they win, it'll be their 2nd
Yeah,
Grammy.
it hit number 1.
Hit number 1.
Yeah, it's in their first record, self-titled, came out on April 28th, 2009. They got signed to Atlantic in 2005. They're a hard-ass working band. They've been hacking it out for a long time. Lzzy
Yeah.
and her little brother started and came up with the name Halestorm when they were teenagers.
Right.
They're the real deal, man.
They really are. They're the real deal. It was really fun to talk to them. They're deep cats musically, too. We talked about all sorts of music. We talked about Alice Cooper. We talked about Bring Me the Horizon. We talked about the bands they've toured with, like Stone Sour and Disturbed. And, they played on a bill with Ronnie James Dio, which ended up being the last show he played before he passed away.
Which is crazy, yeah.
They've done all sorts of cool stuff.
What's the country dude's name?
Oh, they did a tour with Eric Church and
Eric
Dwight
Church, yeah,
Yoakam,
which is crazy.
We should just name everything that we talked about in the
And
podcast.
then we talked about makeup, and then we talked about, we didn't even get into gear talk, that's what I was most excited to talk about initially. But the conversation just went so well and went so naturally in different directions. It was just kind of like, crumple the notes up, let's just talk.
Yeah, I
It
like
was
that
awesome.
I like that you acted out the crumpling of the notes.
Well, that's figured easier than you putting
It's a
in.
dramatic effect. Going and finding like a sample of like good crumpled paper.
Right, exactly.
No, I think it's safe to say they were super sweet, and it was cool to have the patrons ask them some questions. It was cool to just talk music and shoot the shit, and I guess without any further ado, let's usher everyone into that conversation.
Yeah, this is Joe and Lzzy from Halestorm.
All right, enjoy. I just started us.
Cool.
Always
Yeah.
record.
I just
Always
jumped
That's
record.
the only way to do it. I
So
think.
we're going to have already said a big intro.
Cool.
Where we basically read your whole Wikipedia page. It's
Sweet.
going to be about 45 minutes long. No, so we're here with Halestorm. Lzzy and Joe come to my house, my studio here in Donaldson. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you so much.
And trusting that we weren't going to kill you or something.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we figure we hang out with. We're prepared.
I brought hot coffee. I was ready to throw it in
yeah,
your
just in
face.
case.
Coffee?
Just in
Yeah.
case.
Maybe
Yeah,
some
we're-
nunchucks.
I
It was-
noticed the lid was cracked
Maybe,
too.
let me put it this way: it was worth the risk. You're
Okay,
worth
fair
the
enough, fair
risk
enough.
to get an interview.
Like one mutual friend. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, we're fine.
I wasn't aware that you guys were in town. How long have you guys been in Nashville?
6
years now.
something
Okay,
like that. Yeah,
cool.
3 out of 4 of us live here, so everybody
Okay.
except for our drummer
Where does he live?
in California.
Wow.
Ah, okay.
I
Yeah.
guess if you're doing the kind of touring you guys are doing, that doesn't make as much of a difference.
No. Traveling is nothing anymore. And it's funny because he's here all the time, just like in our guest room,
Yeah.
hanging out. Like, you should just move here. It's like, the wife doesn't think about it. We're like, okay, well, convince her and then just come out here. It's fine. So one of these days.
But when you get to this kind of level, though, I mean, like we've both experienced it for years. It doesn't. You're not like a local band anymore, where you're practicing 5 days a week and you have to be in the same city. You reach
true.
a certain level, and it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
we have time off, then we have slotted rehearsals. You fly in, we rehearse, then we go on tour.
Yeah,
It's-
we've seen
it's-
each other for 90% of the year.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
We're fine.
Yeah, we're okay. In fact, go to California.
Yeah. Well,
That'd be fine.
RJ and I, he's my little brother, my drummer's my little bro, and so he and I have been doing Halestorm for 21 years, and
It's crazy.
and like literally living 2 feet from each other. Like, I love that kid because he every strange idea and rabbit hole, he was just like, sure, I get to play drums, cool, let's do it. And so we're still doing it together. But yeah, when he goes home, it's like he's MIA. Like I got a text from him yesterday answering a text that I sent him like 2 weeks ago. It's like, that's
Good
what
talk.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
good talk. All right, that's
You guys
fine.
are close. Wow.
I'll see you later. Yeah,
Did you come here from Pennsylvania? Was this the next big move? Was Nashville?
kind of.
Pretty much, basically.
Yeah, we way overstayed our welcome with our parents.
Yeah, the first
They moved
album-
out like 6 months ago.
Yeah, they just moved out. No.
No, like 6 months ago, or sorry.
See, yeah, he was right.
After the first album cycle, we were like in between tours. We'd just go live with our parents because we didn't have enough money to. There was no point in getting an apartment.
And we were
somewhere.
off
Right,
for
right.
like a week and a half.
You were
It's
never
like,
home,
what? We're gonna
right.
get a place?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what was like the initial draw to Nashville, though? Like, as opposed to maybe, obviously, like New York, it's like really expensive. It might be kind of hectic there, but was it just that did you hear about like a good music scene here, or was it just the
No,
price, or
There's none of that.
Yeah, it hasn't.
you wanted to be around rednecks?
Did you hear that Metal Up Your Podcast was here?
Yeah, we heard you guys were here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years before it started.
No, it was really like
We knew.
We got the second album. We started using a bus to tour, and the buses came out of Nashville, and
Yeah.
so the bus with Deadhead with nobody in it to pick us up, and we had moved our stuff to Florida. Both of our parents had moved down there,
Yeah,
and
during
so
our-
in between, so in between tours, we were doing that again, and it would like for a bus to Deadhead down to pick us up, and then to drop us off in Deadhead back to Nashville was like $10,000 a tour. It was just so much money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And we're like, we got to move the gear up there. It's like cheaper to fly everyone in than to have the bus do
Right.
this. That's insane.
Right.
So then I was like, well, I'm going to
Someone-
follow my guitars.
Someone's got to give me the gear. So it's funny. We moved here literally sight unseen. We had some friends that like found an apartment and
We found something on Craigslist.
We found something on
It was
Craigslist.
like,
Can you go check it out
Yeah.
for us? And we literally moved here, and then we fell in love with it. Like, what a music scene,
Really?
and
Yeah.
not just. And it's everyone's like, what? You're gonna be a country band now? Like, no, it's not just country. It's just there's this appreciation for music, and there's an amazing metal scene and
Yeah.
amazing rock scene.
I don't think people realize that there's a pretty good rock scene here.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
there's a really good
With
thing.
Jack and the Kings guys,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, even Paramore getting popular
Right.
based out of Franklin. It's like they were a
Absolutely.
huge part of the rock scene here. And there's cool stuff locally that still happens. There's like there was that rock and roll residency. I think that's done now. Isn't
yeah,
it?
it is done.
That was happening. There's Metal Mondays at Melrose.
we were just there
just
yesterday.
there.
Oh, were you? Nice.
Yeah,
That's a fun time.
Yeah,
so much fun.
it was great.
Do you guys feel like you've been do you feel like Nashville's embraced you as Halestorm is like now kind of based in Nashville?
That's been the
Maybe.
most amazing thing this year. We've really realized that.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Because Nashville can also kind of be
Well-
real blasé about shit too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they're here, great. We're
yeah,
Nashville.
yeah. Well, I
you
think
know?
it's just again with the rock community and also just like there is an industry side to it, as well. Like when on this latest record, when our song "Uncomfortable" went #1, there was a banner,
Yeah.
like
Music
outside
Row.
on Music
Yeah,
Row.
yeah,
I was
now you
like,
made it.
whoa,
Cool.
and then this with all this Grammy Palooza, this whole like lead up to that has been amazing, and you just kind of feel like, oh wow, like hey, we're a real band, guys, and like
Yeah,
we're in
we're
Nashville,
doing
and
it.
we're doing it. But just as far as like on the local level and the community, just there's this amazing spectrum because there's these new like rock and metal bands, but then there's like the rock royalty that's out here, and there's
Right.
Megadeth lives out here, and then there's Tom Kiefer from Cinderella, and there's like all these guys that we looked up to, and they're
Yeah,
hanging
Rachel
out. So
from
yeah,
Skid
Rachel
Row
Bowen
and
from
Michael
Skid Row.
Wagner.
Michael Wagner, yeah.
Yeah, we had Michael on our show actually.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
He's awesome.
He let us go in because he mixed Master of Puppets, and so he let us just go in his studio and talk about. We could just talk to him about anything we wanted to know about Master of Puppets.
Yeah, it
he
was
was
pretty
so
rad.
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, such a
cool.
good dude. That was another actually Dead's connection and how we got to talk to Michael.
Oh yeah,
With the
absolutely.
same way to how you guys are here, but he was great. Yeah, he was such a nice dude, and it sounds like you guys didn't have to do much work for a lot of the Nashville community to accept you, which is really cool. I've seen stuff just in press over the last few years of you guys being out doing things around Nashville, the rock and roll residency nights, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you're the kind of band that people would shun coming here.
No, but there is a risk of we're in a genre we're also like of a generation that it could have kind of gone either way depending
Sure.
on who you're talking to. But it's been amazing with the residency where it's like it feels like this family, and they even said at that last rock and roll residency that just like what is happening right now with us, which is really cool. Like they're just like, we're owning it too, man. This is about all of us. And so that's kind of the vibe that I hear with everything that everybody does. Everybody lifts each other up here because yes, there's the whole eat your young thing, the Nashville scene and all that. You know this. I've been around these circles too, songwriting wise, and it's like, oh god, it's intense too.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
But I love it. I don't know. There's something about it.
There is something you can kind of dig into. It is something that makes me want to succeed at it even more when it gets
Yeah.
kind of grimy. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll show you.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it can also almost be a challenge if you're trying to do your own music, trying to be a songwriter, be a band, whatever. There is that push that you get when someone tells you, like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, fuck you, I can.
Yeah, Dad.
Dad, come on, Dad, I can do this.
Do you do a lot of outside songwriting?
Yeah, I used to do it more often a couple years ago. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it was fun. After we were making our first record, I'd never really co-written with anybody before, and so that was like that learning curve of like, how do you write with a complete stranger
Right.
in 5 hours?
Right.
It's like boot camp, and so I became such a better songwriter from
Yeah.
being involved and just being with creative people. Like, oh wow, that was a cool
yeah.
trick to get you out of that funk.
You have to
and-
go deep quick, and
Yeah.
that's kind of a muscle
Yeah, absolutely.
if you want to get a good tune.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the whole songwriting thing is a muscle, and if
Yeah.
if you don't do it for a while, it's like shake off the rust.
And
like,
you-
what am I doing again?
You write a lot of the tunes too, right? You guys write a lot collaboratively, right? As
Yeah.
a band.
Yeah.
I've never really done that. Like, you got 4 people in a room banging it out.
Yeah, it's fun.
How does that work for you guys? Is it different every record?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess
been.
it has been. Basically with the 4 of us, just like on it. I'll just kind of start. You can take over. But you know, we're all 4 of us are bringing something to the table that the other 3 can't. You know, so like, you know, the guys trust me with my corner, I trust him, and we trust our rhythm section. You know, and so it's one of those things where it's a lot of fun to like, you know, almost like pseudo, just like sibling, you know, rivalry. That like, oh well, let me show you this then.
Yeah,
Look at what
yeah.
I did, you know, and then so we get to lift it up together.
And in this last record we made with Nick, we were kind of like, we knew we wanted to work with Nick because we did that cover EP with him, and we'd kind of met him around town, and he was like one of my, you know, producer heroes. Every time I'd fall in love with a record, I'd see his name, and I'm like,
Foo Fighters,
who's
Alice in
this guy?
Chains,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Deftones,
Rush.
Rush, yeah.
that, and so it was cool to be able to like do that cover EP where we had just had so much fun and connected on just like a friendship level, you know, and it just makes being in the studio more fun when you're just joking and
Such
having a good
a nice
time.
guy.
And
He's such a good dude. He do volume 3 of the cover EPs?
was that? Yeah,
Was that the third? I don't know.
And that was the first time you worked
Or maybe
with
it was
him?
4.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you did it in
It was
did
like
in Franklin?
test. It's like, let's do a bunch of covers with this guy, see if we can actually
Yeah,
work
yeah.
together.
Oh, did you do it down at Dark Horse?
Yeah.
When he was down
Yeah.
there? That's awesome. I recorded a bunch of records down there. It's such a great space.
Cool vibe, yeah.
The studio that he was in was called the Cabin forever.
Yeah.
I've done like 5 records in there.
That's
And
awesome.
it's such a great space. I mean, I know Nick kind of decked it out all different, like blacked out all the windows.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't see all the beautiful nature outside
No,
the windows.
because
but-
it was about the music.
Rock
Yeah.
Falcon. Yeah, he
yeah,
Rock
Rock
Falcon.
Falcon. That's right. Yeah.
But no, and we kind of went into this last record. We're like, we don't know. We wrote a bunch of songs like we had done on the other 3 records, and we co-wrote a bunch with some friends of ours. And the idea initially was like, let's write a bunch of. Let's just get it done and get it out there and keep the train rolling, you know.
Yeah,
and we kind of had these 12 songs, and they were good, but it wasn't like we were like.
It's like that's like
That
I
would
miss
work
the
on
music
radio
times too.
fine,
like
I'm sure.
Like it would work out fine, but it wasn't exciting to us. It was just like, okay, we've literally we just did this. You know,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is what we did.
And
So-
Nick was cool. He was like,
yeah.
"This isn't the Halestorm record that I had envisioned making." We're like
good. Okay.
"Thank you."
Thank you.
Yeah. And this was based off of just like demos and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we we're like, "Cool, but
But now what?
now what?
Yeah.
How do you? We know what we don't want to do, but how do we do what we want to do? And
Was it
what
a
is
completely
that?
different batch of songs?
Yeah.
Wow.
didn't
Yeah, we
use
just threw them all
didn't use
out.
any of
Oh,
them.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, we literally worked so hard, and then we just threw everything.
So where do
away.
those songs go for you guys? Do they make their way live, or are they on a back burner for maybe a future record, or
You know,
or do they disappear?
Maybe like sometimes we'll go back and we're like, oh, you know what? We haven't heard that stuff for a while, and we'll take like, you know, a bridge riff
yeah.
from it, or like, oh, you know what? That actually was really cool. Let's redo that. But we don't do that very
Generally, it's like move forward.
Yeah.
I bet your fans would die to hear some of that shit.
Oh, for sure.
often. we have,
Save it for
we
the-
have some really good and really awful
We're going to be
things that
debuting
we've
all
written.
10 of them on Metal Up
Yeah,
Your
we're playing all of
Podcast.
them today. Yeah. But that's the kind of stuff you could save for like Metallica's been doing the 30th anniversary reissues of on all vinyl, including riff tapes, demos, all that
Yeah.
stuff. You can
So
So
put
30
that,
years
you know.
later from now.
Yeah, 30 years from now,
We're
we'll
not
all
gonna
look forward to
care.
that.
Yeah. 30 years later, we're like, I don't care.
We've
Put it out
been.
there.
It's 10. This year's our 10th anniversary of the first album coming out, and we spent the last few weeks kind of listening to a lot of those old demos that we made back in like 05, 06, 07, 08, leading up to that 09 release, and
The confusion of what are
trip.
we? What do we do?
What's it like
Yeah.
to hear that live record you guys put out? That was one of the first things you put out, right? It was like an EP.
Yeah,
Yeah,
live
one
EP.
EP.
Oh,
We listened to that.
Is
There's
that painful?
there's
Yeah.
some of it that like you can hear the otherworldly stuff, the stuff that we can't explain about our band. You can hear that, but yeah, there's some awful like, wow, he really blew that fill, or like, wow, like.
And we were so adamant about not fixing anything in
Yeah,
the
we
studio.
were very
Yeah.
adamant
We're like,
about that.
That's
That
why we
was
called
very
it One and Done. We're like, whatever it is, that's what it was, you know?
And now we're like,
cool,
wait,
though.
maybe we should have fixed a
we
couple
were
things.
listening back. Well, that wouldn't have hurt.
Yeah.
maybe.
But at the time, this was like the very beginning of like people were starting to use tracks and like in a rock sense, in like whereas for years it was like, we're never going to be Milli Vanilli, we're never going to be Avril Lavigne, we're never going to be like all that stuff, and there was a lot of bands that were doing that, so we were very adamant about never ever doing that, like to the point of like we We don't even use a click live, and we still don't do that.
So you don't do any of that stuff.
But in the beginning, it's like it was a little looser
Right, yeah.
than it is now.
That's why I loved seeing Metallica the other night when they were in Nashville, because obviously they don't use a click or anything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was awesome because they're such a. You can tell they've just been doing it so long that if the downbeat happens to stray a few beats later, the one they're all on it playing the riff. You know,
Yeah.
and
What we're saying, like they breathe together.
yeah,
It's
the
like
music
one
breathes.
unit.
They're a unit, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of people would say that like, oh, this you can get negative if you want about it, but I thought it was really cool.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They play to each other. It's the sound of Metallica. It speeds up. It slows down. It's some of it's ridiculous, but it's the magic of them.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And I have to tell you how amazing. Like, and I love live rock shows. I become a 14-year-old, but like I'm sitting there with my best friends. We had a bunch of friends together. We went out on the floor. We're watching this production, and that aspect of the show got me like emotional about that, because I'm like, see, guys, like the biggest band in the world, these guys are like, that's the North Star, and that's how they do it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing,
Being
because
a
like
band.
you can get a little disheartened, like, as we're coming up, again, we're very adamant about like, it's the four of us playing. We plug in, we play. That's what
Awesome.
you get, But when you're surrounded on these festivals by everybody doing like the wall of sound, and everything sounds like it's on
Sounds
a
like a
movie.
movie trailer.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie soundtrack in a world.
Yeah, totally. This time it's personal.
Yes.
Double crossed by the government.
It's tough to compete, and it's also, you start thinking like, are you crazy for doing it the way you're doing it, because this is the most fun way to do it? But it's like, but everybody else is doing this like pro thing, and
So you think about that, like in a festival, if you're sandwiched between, I don't know the bands that do that, but you've got one band with all that kind of
Yep.
production with tracks, they're tracked out or tuned out, and then you got a band maybe after you like that. You think about
yeah, you think
how you're
about
going to poke
how
out. You
you're
probably
gonna
poke
stand
out
out.
positively.
Well,
Well,
that's
nowadays,
just happened
I feel
recently.
like
Yeah,
the
like
like
it's turned
back
around.
in like 09, 2010, when we were on these festivals, like kind of starting out and in between, and all this stuff, and
I like your shorthand for the track thing.
Yeah. That's perfect. That's usually the intro to the set.
but it felt like maybe our mix, like it seemed like we were less than everyone else, and
Right.
and we noticed it like a year ago, playing a little bit later and in the festival scene, which is cool, but it felt like the energy went up because the music was all of a sudden, like, I think it was a relief that it wasn't like perfection happening,
yeah.
and it was like
the human
the breathing
the
that we were
human
talking
element
about.
was like you could feel that. And the funniest thing was, so we have an amazing sound guy, Mike Mahar. He worked for Dickie Betts back in the day, and like he's an analog guy, but he understands everything.
Yeah.
So it's neat to watch him do his thing, and that's his art, and he's literally playing the band. And he came up to us like literally we were in festival season, couple in a row, and he's like, yeah, these guys keep coming up to me,
So the sound guys.
yeah, asking what the guitar, like, how do you get the guitars to sound like that? How do you get the plugins for that? Whatever the hell they were trying. He's like, well, that's a Marshall, that's it. And we plug in, and then you play.
It's not a computer.
And everyone's like, wait, what? That's actually, so it was in a positive sense this summer. It was really cool.
Well, and you guys, by doing that, like, maintain the human element of being in a rock band. Like those guys, like, everything's gonna be
See, now
flawless
you're doing
every
it.
night.
See,
I
now
know.
it's a
See,
thing.
it's infectious. Yeah.
I think people, maybe even if they don't know it consciously, are getting tired of that shit.
Yeah.
Because it's just radio, and it's like every show you go see, it's just too perfect or something. I think it's one of the reasons Metallica is still so successful on this arena tour all these years later.
Yep.
Because I just think it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, because you're going to go there and you don't know what's going to happen. And
Right.
see,
Yeah.
to us, we say like that's what living is about. Like
Right.
for us, like we got addicted to that stuff, way back in the day, and whereas like you want that on stage, you want that terrifying
Danger.
like it could go amazing or it could go completely horrible,
Yeah.
and that is up to you. And what are you going to do about it? And there's these three other guys on stage that could totally knock that one way or the other. And
Yeah.
so we do that to each other
Yeah,
all the time.
we have like a lot of we have been
Do a
getting
lot
into
of improv,
improv
yeah.
and just like let's see what happens. Let's take this song and just see what happens.
We don't
Let's
know
make
how
a
we're going to
moment.
end it.
You mean improv within the song? Like
With-
you'll go off on a jam or
Yeah, just a
Oh,
jam.
cool.
Yeah, and just go off. Here we go. We're gonna solo and
Wow.
And we don't know how we're going to get out of it,
Wow.
but
Or
we have
end
to
it.
listen to each other. Yeah.
But that's where the experience of being in a band, as long as you guys have, comes into play. Because, like, and you know how it is, all of us being the musicians, you could be playing, doing this ending part where you're jamming out, extending a solo forever, and just make eye contact, and that's communication enough to know when you're going to end it. Just a quick little nod. Or
talking
something.
a different language, and
Right.
and we've had some. I think the Nashville show last time we played here last April at Municipal, our jam got a little out of control.
Crazy
We're like,
bombs.
whoa,
A little psychedelic.
we're like, what was that? Because we've had some like amazing moments where it like works out, and like we're like, whoa,
Like,
cool,
oh, it worked out, guys.
All right. And that was one where we're like, well, we got to end this and get out of here. And
Yeah, it's like we've gone
go to
way
the
too
next
long.
song.
It's been 30 minutes.
I know I've been listening to a lot of Grateful Dead lately, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you guys record your shows and listen to them? That like maybe critique it and say, well, that jam worked, that one didn't, or is it just a conversation after the show?
It's a conversation. We're really hard on ourselves after a show. We sit there and we're like, you know what sucked? That sucked.
Yeah.
That sucked.
And what
That
the
sucked.
hell was that? Yeah.
That was cool. That sucked. And our kind of mindset is just make everything better always.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
But we do record everything, and that's been
We
fun.
haven't listened to it really.
I know we should.
hard,
though.
right?
We should. I know. Well, because it's like you do have the illusion of sometimes you just want to have that illusion of like, oh no, it was a really good show, right, guys?
The
We don't
memory
really
of
want
it's usually
We don't
better.
really want to go through and find out what we did
Right.
wrong. No, but yeah, no, it's one of those things too. I was talking to little bro, and over the course of doing something for so long with the same people, that I think has kept it sexy, with all of us. It's like a marriage. It's like, okay, break out the lingerie. I guess it's Saturday night, but like that's how we do it.
Which definitely happens in a marriage, by the way. We have lingerie Saturdays.
Yeah.
Every Saturday.
Can somebody explain this? Is this a
Mine's
thing?
Tuesday. For
Is
some
it
reason.
Tuesday? Well, just because to spice it
Yeah.
up,
Why not? Yeah.
But
to keep it fresh.
It's crotchless Sunday.
like
Again.
I feel bad for some of these guys that like they have this working relationship with their band, and again, I'm not knocking anybody that uses tracks, but for me it'd be so boring, and I would get tired. I would stop listening to them because all I have the reference in here.
Be on your own out
Yeah,
there.
why? And so to me, I would get bored, and I would.
Well, I didn't screw up, so
yeah,
screw you guys.
I didn't
Right,
screw
yeah.
up. I wasn't even playing.
So when you have tracks, though, it's like to me, there's way more room for error. You have to play the same thing every night. You can't go and start improvising. If something goes wrong with the tracks,
It's done.
You know right away. If you
seen
mess
it
up one little
happen.
note on a solo, or your brother like misses one downbeat or something,
Yeah, we can.
you can move on from it and recover real quick.
We can recover,
When
yeah.
the track rig goes out, it's over.
Oh my God, we
Like,
have seen some crazy like big shows where like everything is out or like something. The
tracks are out.
The tracks are out.
The band's like, well, we can't play.
Band
Yeah, they
walks off
can't-
stage and
yeah.
they can't play.
There's
and
drums and amps, come
I know,
on.
but the amps aren't plugged in. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, oh Jesus, guys, because if that had happened with us, like okay, we have a couple tricks up our sleeve that you're just like, okay, if something has the PA goes out, all right, drum solo, go.
Right.
I don't know, something, anything, but the crowd is getting pissed and we're all standing there like, oh, what are they gonna do? And then there's like no more show and like what? That's terrible. Come on, guys.
it's kind of sad if a
You
band
know?
is so reliant on tracks in their show that
when you know
if
they
it
like
goes out,
what?
they can't.
Yeah, they're so far removed.
Like I've seen bands where they have maybe some like an extra rhythm guitar, some percussion in tracks, and if it goes out, they're like, "Fuck it, we can still play. Let's just keep
You
going."
can play
And
without the
that's fine.
shaker. It's fine.
Exactly. But the cowbell.
Well, but at the same time,
without
some
the
guys, that's how they choose to run their business, and they're not
that's,
wrong.
That's what I'm saying. That's fine. But for me, like I would get so. First of all, it'd be more stressful, and second of all, I just get bored. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense in pop music when you have all those like Dr. Luke elements.
Yes,
every
of course.
every bar there's new information. But I think it really starts to show where it doesn't work with rock bands.
Yeah.
Because it's so almost
Agreed.
antithetical to the spirit of it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It cuts into what's cool
And
about
depending on how the mix is going that day, sometimes, man, that tambourine will come out of nowhere. You're like, wait,
Yeah.
there's no tambourine.
Right.
Where's this
That's
orchestra?
a nice string section.
Yeah, it's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, totally.
I always appreciate when bands, when they do, let's say, put out a record, and let's say it's a little more keyboard heavy or something that they don't have a member for, rather than relying on tracks, it's like, well, let's just have a utility guy come out with us. He
Yeah,
can set up behind this amp,
absolutely.
and he can be back there. Bleep, bleep, bleep,
We've
bleep,
seen
bleep,
that
and
too,
stuff,
and that's really
It bums
cool.
me out sometimes though when they like totally bury that guy.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't exist.
I
I'm
mean,
like, put a spotlight
come
on him.
on.
Come on, he's
Yeah,
there.
you're
I
on
know.
the
I've
band.
seen like it's the guy in the shadows. They have him on like a riser in the back, and he just
I-
I see
And
a
that was kind
silhouette.
of you. That was you at Kings.
Yeah, when I toured.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
You were that guy.
He
I
was.
was. Yeah, I would always joke when I was utility for Kings of
The
Leon.
secret is out.
I would literally like meet people and be like, so what do you do for them? I'm like, I'm the silhouette on stage. Like there's 4 spotlights and I'm the 5th guy.
I remember before that 4th Green Day guy, when they finally accepted him, like 100 years later, seeing a show where they had him in the dark and he was playing a fucking guitar solo, no spotlight.
Oh no,
he's playing a solo.
Like,
and he's like up front next to Billy Joe. Like,
well, that's why I love like watching like the old school, like, you know, even like the David Bowie stuff, or you know Stones and whatever, like where they have all the backups and like, oh, bring the backup singer up, or like whatever you would, you know, because at that point in time, you know who the band members are.
Right.
The extra guy, it's like, hey, check this guy. I don't know.
It's going to be okay. No one's confused about who Keith and
no
Nick
one's
are.
going to steal your thunder. Yeah.
We've talked about that. We almost had someone come out to do some like key stuff, and we
We
just
did
like,
for a couple shows.
we're like,
Remember Lenny?
Yeah,
He was a great guy.
no, he was awesome.
Like doing pads and organs, like kind of on the record type stuff, or
Yeah,
like
like
because I know you play piano too.
Sounds from the record. We thought we'd be fun to get those on. Then we kind of just like came up with, decided that our live show is just an interpretation of the record.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
exactly that.
But that was a fun show, though, because that was over New Year's. Remember, we played like, this is way back in the day, we played like Croc Rock. 'Cause
Ooh,
we would-
Croc Rock,
For many years, we would go back home for New Year's and just like do a big blowout at like some
4 or 5 shows.
Isn't
Yeah,
Croc- isn't
4 or 5
is it
shows.
Allentown?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't.
really?
I don't think it's there anymore.
Is it gone? Okay.
Yeah, it's gone. Well,
It was kind of a dump.
it should have been gone way, but we cut our teeth there, and so we would go back home and like do these shows,
Chameleon Club.
after we were signed, like, but in that club. And this guy Lenny that he did some keys on our second record, and we had him come out, like, learn the parts, and we'll do a big blowout thing.
Yeah.
And he had never been to like a rock show before. He's like a Rihanna guy, and so he got so excited that he literally couldn't help himself and jumped off the stage, and like lost our pack. Like one of our fans like got our like in-ear
Wow.
pack, and
Oh
we
my
had to like
gosh.
search, and we're like, we know it's you. No, I don't know. It was hilarious. That
I've
was a great
never
night.
experienced that where someone excitedly jumped off stage.
So is this at the middle of the show?
It was like toward the end, like he had already been like finished his part, but he just couldn't wait to
Just
like
jumps off and runs home. Just
you
like
know?
Forrest Gump.
and he's like this little like skinny kid with glasses, and
So you're saying it was only a few shows? Did it you just didn't need it, or why not make
we
that
were
a more
we were
permanent
testing
thing?
it out,
Yeah.
and
Wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool. It definitely added something, but it wasn't
Right.
necessary. And we didn't have the money at the time to
Right.
pay
Right.
properly.
and then that our bass player Josh is awesome, and he does so between all of us we're all doing a different dance, but like he got like the
Moog Taurus.
the Moog
Oh,
Taurus.
badass. Great.
And so he's
Yeah.
like, check this out,
Keyboard
guys. I'm like,
and
yes,
bass.
we
Yeah.
don't need the keyboard player. So no, we give him a little.
He's like-
We might give him too much.
He's like a Geddy Lee over there
Oh yeah,
But John Paul Jones.
from John Paul
Yeah,
Jones.
Mr. Josh Smith. He's out here too in Nashville.
He
So,
is?
Yeah.
Cool. Is it that kind of free in your band where someone like Josh could bring a new instrument like that and be like, hey, what if we try this?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
And we're terrible because like none of us encourage each other to like, maybe we should wait on that. Maybe we shouldn't get that cowbell.
That was an accident.
Well, that was a drunken
Accidentally
purchase,
got a
I think.
cowbell.
But either way, it's like we're like, well,
Spend
I
$100
don't know.
on a cowbell. I have.
You should hear this cowbell.
You're gonna put it. That's why it's on every song on your new record, by the way.
I don't even think we've used it yet.
I don't think we
I'm stuffing
used it either.
We were talking to some drummer about like vintage. He was like, no, the vintage Ludwig cowbells, one John Bonham used, and I was looking it up on eBay. I was like, wow, they're like $100. That's crazy. And we were just hammered, and like 2 days later, it showed up in the mail. I was like,
Like, did I get that?
I guess I bought that.
Drunk purchases are always fun.
There are worse things to do as a drunk person than order a fucking cowbell.
Yeah.
So you're,
$100
Well,
cowbell.
there's so many things though, because remember, like, there's that vacuum cleaner thing we actually did use on the record that we got, and we always encourage, like, should I get it? Absolutely. I don't care how you should get it. Bring it in the studio.
reverb now?
And then
Just
Nick,
in case.
Nick
we
is
can
the
get a
same
Dyson
way.
endorsement.
Yeah, Nick was the same way. He's like, oh yeah, bring it. It's fine. It's like because we're gonna use it. And
do you go on Reverb a lot?
Oh, yeah,
every day,
absolutely, yeah.
every single, and they do vinyl now. So
he's like
Yeah.
every day.
unfortunately.
There was a thing like a year or two ago, and I'm sure you can still get it on there. What's it called? I forget what it's called, but it's a big long plastic tube that connects into a box that you can plug into the box, and you whip it around and start woo. And
the
that's called a
faster-
rain stick.
the faster you go, the higher it goes.
the higher the pitch. Yeah.
It sounds like
It sounds like a Wookiee.
It sounds like you bought a didgeridoo and a string.
Yeah, but we plugged it into like an amp.
It looks like a vacuum
Yeah,
cleaner.
was it
hose.
Reverb or Etsy?
Yeah.
But it was awesome. It's like on our Uncomfortable song going into the second chorus. You're like,
That's,
a little
that would
bit out
put
of
it in there.
tune.
It's like Chewbacca's child. Is that what it sounds
yeah,
like?
it really did. But it's like stuff like that. Absolutely. Like, we got obsessed with some,
Moogs.
Yeah, I know. I always do that.
Yeah.
Moog synthesizers and like just
That's
a bunch
fun.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go over, especially when we're making a record. Like I don't know, there could be a song in there. I don't know. You get a pedal
Joe
for
shows
no
up with
reason.
a sitar and a tempura, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Hear me out, guys."
But that's what's fun about that stuff, and that's why Nick's right to say bring it all, because it's something inspiring and exciting like that. Songs will pour out of shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or putting you at a piano and putting sometimes when I'm
Yeah.
writing here, I have a baritone guitar. I'll put a baritone guitar
Dude.
in someone's hands. And they're like, "Ooh, this is weird. I've never played this." And then a song falls out. And then
Oh,
it's like,
man.
well, you got to buy one now.
It's when you kind of get out of your comfort zone as a musician too. Like, I mean, you and I have done this at Paul's studio a lot, where, he might suggest something like, "Hey, what if we threw this
Yeah.
random keyboard on it?" And I'm like, I would never think about that, but try it.
Yeah.
Some bands are afraid to try things in the studio. They want to play it safe, even in the studio. It's like that's the whole point of being in a band and evolving as musicians
Yeah.
is trying new things.
Especially when you're in a studio setting, because you can always erase it. It's
Yeah.
like it's not like
That's true.
it's not like you're just randomly like. I mean, like Josh or you wouldn't like. Hey, I'm just gonna pull out this sitar in the middle of a live set. That would be weird. Like.
Hey, you guys are improvising now, though.
Yeah, I know.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the next logical step.
You make me vicious. Watch as I make the pain my mistress. You can call me Miss Malicious. I'll dress you up in stitches. No, I cannot resist this. If it don't hurt, I get suspicious. I like to take the knife.
Well, we were talking to a friend. He's in the middle of making a record, and he was like, "Yeah, well, we don't want to add too much because live you wouldn't be able to pull it off." I'm like, "Dude, it's a different medium. You're recording. You
Right.
fill
I
it
totally
out.
agree.
You do. That's a different art form, and live is an interpretation of that.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do exactly that live, but
I love that there's almost no limits in a studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can load it up. Like
there should be.
did you ever see that?
There
Sometimes.
should be some
Well,
limits.
that's true. At some point, the record's got to be done, and you got to be done. You can
Right.
do it.
That's like our third record. Like let's just throw everything in there, and then have intro, outro stuff. It's like
It's like Dewey Cox working on his masterpiece.
Right.
You guys saw Walk Hard, I assume?
Yeah.
There's,
It's never finished.
it's never finished.
The new record's badass, by the way.
Yeah, it's really
Oh, thank
good.
you.
It's really, really badass. What's is anything different? Was it different for you guys? Was it working with Nick on your
Yeah.
original tunes?
Well, like we were saying earlier, we didn't know where we were going to go with it, and he was like, "When's the last time the four of you sat in a small room and knocked some shit out?" And we're like, "Well, it's actually been like years." And he was like, "Well, let's do that. Let's start tomorrow." We're like, "Okay." So he set up in like a room this size,
Yeah.
and we had
We
Rock
plugged in.
Falcon,
Which is
down
huge,
there.
by
Yeah.
the way,
Yeah,
for all
it's
the
a-
listeners
it's a
out there.
mansion.
This is huge.
It's just like a warehouse. Yeah.
Hello.
So you guys kind of hacked it at Rock Falcon in Franklin?
Yeah, and he was like, "Who's got a riff?" And
Yeah, every
All right,
day.
I got a riff.
Who's got idea? Who's
Whoa,
got a
so
riff?
you
Yeah.
wrote it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wrote it as we were
Whoa.
doing. Yeah, it was interesting because I told Nick I'm like, man, because I got really like depressed about it because like you work so hard and you're like, then you're like, none of this is exciting to me, and now we got to start again, but we're literally in the studio.
we do it?
Like in pre-production with nothing.
Did you agree that those first batch of songs needed
Oh, yeah.
to go? You did?
Absolutely. Well, it's like to me. I'm always I'm a really, really bad liar. So if I'm not into something, it's
Yeah.
like you're gonna hear it, and I didn't want to do that, and so he's like, look, like if you're not, you gotta. He was saying like you got to stop pleasing everybody else but yourself, like because you could hear it in some of these songs. You were like, okay, that's definitely like that's a crossover thing for the label, and this one is for radio. This is I Miss the Misery ×2. This is I Get Off ×2. This is all this stuff. And
Were you aware of that when you were writing it?
Kinda, but I thought that was like the thing to do because we'd been
it
successful.
was the idea that we had.
Yeah.
We're like, let's just
Yeah.
do some
And we thought
shit like we already have, and
Right.
to
To
get
get
some
out
more
on the
singles
road.
on the radio and keep touring.
Yeah, to keep doing it. And what you realize is that that core, the reason you got into it and the excitement that keeps you going, it's like you can't just manufacture that based on what you've done before, and you can't just use music as a tool to like, well, we're just gonna put it out there to make money or
It's just a
whatever,
product,
it's like, yeah. So you realize how like absolutely soul sucking that is. And so like Nick was so simple. He's like, look, think of it this way. If you're not excited about what you're doing, fans aren't going to be excited. They're going to believe in what you believe in, especially at this point. After this is your fourth record on a major label, you have a fan base. Write for that. Write
Yeah.
what you want to say. So honestly, Uncomfortable, our first single off of that, was one of the first songs that we ended up jamming to. We did this instrumental thing, and I took it home and literally like wrote about that. We're like, all right, fine. It literally sum it up fuck it. You know,
chorus
where I'm
riff is
doing what
sick.
I want.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
You know,
Is that yours? Is that you?
yeah.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
one of
it's
those like,
awesome.
okay, who's got a riff? He's like, well, I kind of have this thing.
I wrote it. I was like, this is what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
and Nick was like, that's kind of
It's
cool.
so true.
Oh, it was kind of like a
Actually-
joke.
Yeah, I was joking. And then
What about it? What about it? Hit that button for you that you don't is as fast and has.
Well,
those,
I don't know. I really like it, and
Yeah.
it
You're trying to
came
be
about
cool.
naturally. I was trying to be like, how can we get away from something like? And he was like, well, that's actually a pretty good riff. I was like, yeah, that is kind of cool. Let's use
go
Now
with
that you
that.
mentioned it, yeah. and that song's nominated for a Grammy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
congratulations.
Congrats,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Which we were just talking to Nick about that. We're like, how amazing. Not okay. So like the Grammy thing, yes, there's that whole situation, but like as far as like personal triumphs too, to like fight for something, not only like fight for it in the career sense, but fight for it, as your best friends in a room with this guy that really believes in rock music, that believes
Yeah.
that can see you for how you're actually being seen, and to fight for something, to enjoy it, to love this record, and then to get that kind of nod,
Right.
is just such a personal milestone. Like, see, we're not crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
We're
imagine
not crazy.
imagine if you'd have gotten the nomination for the batch of songs that you maybe felt like you were settling for.
Yeah.
It'd be hollower in some way.
It would
Yeah.
it would be hollower, and it would set up the next step of our career in kind of a negative way, because then we'd be like, well, I guess this is what we got to do now, guys.
Right.
We're obviously not connected in the same way for what people see us as. So yeah.
Half the battle is figuring out what you don't want.
I know.
Like
right?
that's tough.
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
And once we got that out of the way, like there's those batch of songs we don't want to do something like that. It's kind of a relief and also scary because like, well, now what? But that was Nick's, where
Yeah.
Nick was so great. We'd just be jamming. He'd pop in the room. That was cool. You guys should like open it up or something. Okay.
That's actual studio
He
lingo.
would he would come in and he'd have like the drumstick and he'd just be like waving it in our face. Like anytime we're doing anything,
do the kick like this.
if we were doing guitars, if doing vocals, drums, he's 2 feet away from you, and he's such an advocate for rock and like
Oh, yeah.
just that idea, and he's also he's a smart guy, obviously, because he has this stature in the business, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have time for any of that bullshit and all
Yeah.
the games that people play and all that stuff. He just has his focus, and it really worked for us.
Were there times where you guys butted heads? I mean, that's kind of part of
Not
some
really.
records, but
We've butted heads with producers before. This was, I think, the first time where we were just like, no,
just
we're
had fun.
because
Yeah.
well, look, when you trust somebody, like I would end up bringing in, because we weren't quite sure like whether we wanted like, do we want a ballad on the record, whatever. So like I started bringing in like some piano ballads, and here's like this thing on acoustic, whatever the hell it is, and he would help me whittle that down. He'd be like, all right, that's a great song. Not for this record.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That part you went into like Kelly Clarkson world. Let's get out of that. It's like, but you trust the guy. So for me, it was like a relief, because then I stopped obsessing over certain songs, because like he'll tell you like I write every day. It's what I do. I love doing
Right,
it.
yeah.
It's become this, or I mean you guys understand. It's like when your passion becomes your affliction. Like crap, now I got to do that because something inside.
are we
of me
writing a
says-
song right now?
We are.
I think
yeah.
we're writing a song
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Co-write.
We're auto tuning this whole thing.
This is gonna actually. You know what? Stranger things have happened. But so to be obsessed with music in a personal way, it was great to have somebody to look at it from the outside. Like, that's great, but you don't have to think about that anymore. Not for this
yeah.
record. Awesome. Put that in the vault. And so it to me that was relieving and awesome.
I think a lot of bands, when they go in with a producer, maybe they don't really know personally. The trust part is tough for a lot of bands. This is their baby. These are their songs.
Yeah, you're
my
close to it.
songies.
Exactly. Like you're cuddling your little songs, and it's like this
riff,
producer's
riff.
coming in and tell you what to do, and it's not that the producer's taking over, but this is what you're hiring that
Yeah.
person to do. So it's cool to hear your guys' working relationship with Nick was him coming and going like, hey, that's cool. Let's not use that. Elaborate on that.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
It's not. He's not coming and being insulting. He's just
No.
he hears something that maybe you guys aren't hearing while you're playing.
And he's looking at it as a bigger picture. We're sitting
Right.
here like in the details of the song and cool, but that isn't necessarily the record we're making.
Yeah.
That song, maybe.
And he also, he had seen us live. He knew, my crazy little brother and me. And so it's like, we would think something like, oh no, that sounds pretty good. That rocks. He's like, oh, no. I've seen what you guys can do. I know you can sing higher. I know your brother can get crazier.
Yeah.
Let's start with a drum fill, here, just to screw it up. And he brought so many amazing things that just from a big sister standpoint, my little brother, he's an amazing drummer, but he brought so much out of him that even all of us were like,
Oh, that's
how'd
cool.
He can do that?
how'd you do that?
The drumming's great on the record.
Yeah,
the
he-
musicianship on the whole record is amazing.
Oh,
It's
and no,
great.
everything's awesome. It's such a fun record to listen to, and dynamically, it kind of does this for me.
Yeah,
at
it's
least.
cool.
You
It's
know,
a fun
like-
ride.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's not like you like a lot of hard rock bands just want to come in on 11 the whole record, and
Yeah.
stuff. And there's really cool dynamic moments where it gets kind of tender, or your voice you're almost whispering on a track. It's like
Yeah.
I love that kind of
I was
stuff.
thinking about this.
Thanks.
I was thinking specifically about Uncomfortable. You have that riff; it's a new, exciting direction that you want to go. And then I'm thinking about that song lyrically, or Do Not Disturb, that kind of subject matter, because you don't seem like that character sitting here in my studio.
I think we should make out. In a few hours, I'm getting on a plane. There's a pretty safe bet you'll never see me again. Yeah. I love your accent. I wonder what it'll sound like when you come. Let's see if blondes or brunettes have more fun. I'm on the very top floor, room 1334. There's a king-size bed, but we can do it on the floor. Turn your cell phone off, leave a sign on the door that says, do not disturb. And if I were you, I'd bring your girlfriend too. Two is better than one, three is better than two. And leave a sign on the door the whole night through that says, do not disturb, do not disturb.
That's got to be super intentional, right? When you want to go to those places.
Oh, and absolutely. You reach to the extremes of everything that I write and I do has that core truth to it. For instance, Do Not Disturb is a very true story. I'm just kind of recanting how that night went down for all of you listening.
Except you left out the part where you bought a cowbell.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't even use it on the record.
That's at the end.
Still mad about that.
I know. Next record. We got to go back with Nick
It's
to
an
use the
investment.
cowbell.
Solo in that tune,
yeah.
by the way, is sick.
Oh,
yeah.
no, that's my
Oh,
favorite
thanks, man.
solo on the record.
That is a great solo.
Thank you. That was a.
Can we camp out there just for 1 second, just
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
technical
dude.
world? What was tracking that solo like?
It was
Was it a multi-take? Did you compose it? Was it improvised?
It was tough.
Yeah.
I struggled on that one. That was. I didn't know.
Lizzie's laughing.
Well, I
End
didn't know,
quote.
Thank God.
It was
Nick,
tough.
Nick helped me with that one. Some solos just happen, and it's I know exactly what this
Right, yeah.
needs, and it's wait for the right. You do it a few times, get the right take. But that one, I was trying all these different approaches. I did 80 takes at home, just trying
Yeah.
different things, and nothing was working because you know when it's right, and you know when it's
I like that it's kind of short and sweet too. It's kind of a no bullshit in and
Yeah.
out.
But that was me sitting with Nick. I have no idea I've tried a bunch of shit and it's just not working.
Yeah.
He's like, "Come on, sit down. Let's get through this."
Check
know.
it out.
And we did. We started to He's like, "What you just did there, that was a great intro," and then we kind of lost it. So let's build it off that. Cool. And we just kind of worked it out. And then I remembered that stupid Randy Rhoads thing.
At the end.
Yeah, that I was like, "Oh, I can throw something like that." He's like, "Yeah, cool." And we worked it out and got it made until it made sense. And I always call it it's like ironing. You got to get the wrinkles out
Yeah,
of
for
a
sure.
song and stuff.
And it's not
you
stupid,
just
Joe.
keep.
It's very good.
No, I know.
Come on, Joe.
I like the solo. I'm
doesn't
like,
do
We've
well with
we've brought
compliments.
you here today to talk about your inability to take compliments.
I'm
That's
so
right,
bad
yeah.
at it.
This is actually intervention, okay?
See, I knew it was
Lizzie-
coming.
Say thank you.
Lizzie actually reached out to us, and so Joe's got some issues we got to work out.
Under the guise that is an interview, but this
Yeah.
is actually about.
Well, so you were talking about Do Not Disturb and Uncomfortable and some of that subject matter and how it comes from truth, but you reach extremes and
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's you're a storyteller, absolutely. But the great thing about making this record, inadvertently making this record the way we did, was that all of these feelings were very fresh. So it's not like you wrote the song and then you had time to like, okay, let's iron it out, whatever. It's like the inception of the of the song was happening as we're recording it. So it's like I listen to this record and I'm like, oh yeah, no, like I actually like was really feeling that at the time, you know, and some of the songs again, like we'd come in and be like, all right, I have this, all right, we're recording that today. Okay, we were going to record the other song, so yeah, absolutely, and I think that by erring on the side of truth, it ended up being this really weird thing with our fans, whereas like all of a sudden, all of our fans kind of like as we released the record knew exactly what the songs were about. Whereas on previous records, I kind of have to like, actually, I wrote the song about that. Or like, what did you write about? Oh, I didn't get that at all. Yeah. So the fact that like everybody kind of understands this time is really cool.
Less explanation for you, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you guys are getting better as songwriters? And is that what it is? You're more direct. It's more transparent. It's more. Yeah. This is what we're saying.
I don't think you're. I don't think, at least for me, like I'm not afraid to, I guess, well, maybe that comes with getting older, but you just have less and less fucks to give, I guess. Mm-hmm. So as you kind of realize, like, oh, I don't really owe anybody anything, and I can write about what I want to write about. If I have to tweak it later, that's fine, but like get it out the way it comes, and sometimes it's an extremely beautiful thing.
Well, we've been, like I said earlier, we've been listening to these old demos from like 05, 06, and most of those songs didn't make it on the first record. They were the ones from the basement in Pennsylvania. We had a little 16-track digital recorder thing, and it was like making my first demos.
My first demo.
And and they actually sound way better than I thought they would, because I haven't heard them. Like the songs would start when we were listening. I'm like, I don't remember this. And also you'd sing the part. I'm like, oh no, it's in there somewhere. But it was awesome to listen to, because we were like, to me, we were on to something, like especially musically. Like we had some really cool ideas. I thought like something happened in the first record when she started co-writing with all these people, and we got like broken down or something, and kind of thought that we couldn't do it and we weren't good enough. And I thought I was like a really shitty guitar player, and just spending all these years trying to catch up. And this last record we made with Nick, we kind of found our confidence again. We're like, we can do it. Cool. Especially with like Uncomfortable going #1 and getting a Grammy. Like that was just the four of us, working it out. We're like, cool, maybe we can do it actually. And then listening to those demos this week from 15 years ago, it was like, oh, we are actually, there's some really cool stuff in there. And somehow along the way in this major label process, we kind of got broken down and convinced that we couldn't do it.
I think people would be surprised at how many successful bands struggle with that stuff.
Yeah, well, because it's this ride. Like you want to do both. You want to like not sell. You want to not sell your soul, obviously, but you want to play the game, and you want to talk to industry people. It's like we're all obsessed with that. It's like you want to learn new things, and you want to do the right thing, and you want to trust people, and you want to do all those things, and you want to figure out a way to do music every single day for the rest of your life. You don't have to have a normal job, that kind of thing. So, you're in this.
It's easy to get lost in that shit. It is
easy. And then especially you add in some success to that. There's this misconception that, with success, is like all of a sudden we're going to be like, okay, we're just totally fine now. No, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you add that into that factor into it, like, well, this kind of worked. I know I hated that, but it kind of worked, though. Let's build a record off of it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was going to say, I think it's cool on your point, the transparency, especially lyrically, that you kind of put out on this record. It's something that even with all the industry bullshit and going through all that stuff and maybe trying to please people here and there, you can look back on songs like this and not like have any regrets either.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like in the way in the future, look back and be like, you know what, like, even though we were on a major label and we had success and people, we had a lot of fans and stuff like that, like I still stayed true to myself.
Yeah.
But I very much appreciate though the side of it though that's like, look, we're, because let's face it, you guys aren't anal vomit. You guys, which our fans will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we've mentioned them before.
But you guys appeal to a lot of people, and that's no joke. And like for me as a commercial songwriter that's trying to write songs like that, I don't think that part gets talked about enough, because I think there's a perception that that's not cool. But if you can do both, which is what it seems like you guys are doing, like you're being honest and you're also playing the game,
Yeah.
I mean, and
Well,
you're selling tickets, and the ball's moving in
Yeah.
terms of your
We're
career.
lucky.
Well, and like it
I
or
think it's
not,
great.
like the rock that we grew up listening to, especially myself, like I was in the 90s, I'm obsessed with 80s music. So, but I was but it's all pop songs. It's
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Alice
Oh, yeah.
Cooper's School's Out is a pop song.
Yeah.
Pat Benatar was a pop, she was a rock
Right. Yeah.
girl.
I think
but
Master of Puppets is a
Master
pop
of
song.
Puppets is a pop song. Exactly. Same thing with the
I
entire
think
Black
I
album.
think they're the Beatles of metal.
I
Rain
think-
and
but-
Blood is a pop.
But if you think about it, it's like pop, and we have this argument all the time. It's like pop means popular, and it's just
Totally.
it's pleasing to the ears. And
Yeah.
so what I love about it is that, you figured out along the way, yes, okay, there's a documentation. All these records are snapshots of where you were at in your life. Maybe you didn't have this part figured out, but you had this part figured out. So how do you meld the two? So as we make records, hopefully every artist has the opportunity to grow, and every single time be like, maybe I'll do that a little better. Maybe I'll experiment with this. It's their complete right to do that.
Yeah.
And I know, like, speaking of Metallica, they got a lot of shit for the Black Album, but if it wasn't for the Black Album, there's so many people that would not have then, looked back into their catalog,
Right, of course.
and it's.
I love the Black Album.
I
do too.
love
It's
the
great,
Black.
Absolutely love it. And I think, speaking of the show that it sounds like we were all at, I didn't know you guys were at the show the other night. I was looking around during the Black Album to Sabbath True and
Yep.
whatever they were playing. That was getting the most reaction.
Yeah.
It wasn't Seek and Destroy, which got a big reaction. It wasn't the old school shit. It was Black Album.
Yeah,
You could
because
see the
it
power
stands
of
the
that
test of
record.
time.
Big time.
And they were
Songs.
ambassadors for this music that we love so much,
Right,
because
yeah.
they show
Absolutely.
they show our moms and all these like, oh no, like they're actually amazing and you can sing this song.
Yeah, for sure.
And to be a band that can do all of those things, that's amazing. That's the epitome,
For sure, yeah. I mean, that, like you said, that record stands the test of time. And I mean, I was even listening to it the other day. We did a whole episode on it on our last episode where we did like a listen through with commentary. And like when you guys left my studio that night and we recorded it, it was like, God, that record is perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it
it's
really
so
is.
good.
We were
Sounds
talking
so
about
good,
that
too.
today.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yeah.
because we want to do our next record with Nick, or talking with Nick, and like, how do we like, how do you even ask that? Like I think that even Metallica didn't know that the Black Album was going to be the Black Album,
Right.
But you have to like think like while they were recording it, like Bob or whoever was like, there's something
Yeah, I think
that is
they-
about to happen.
I think they knew.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they had some. I think when they started to get those songs demoed and down, and they had Sandman and Sabbath True and Unforgiven and Rome, I think
Yeah.
they were like, ooh.
But it's about taking
on
that
to
risk
something.
too, because that was a huge risk
Big
for
time.
them.
Huge, yeah.
You
Big
know,
time.
and so there's that terrifying factor of like it could really work and it could totally not. It's like this could totally destroy us too.
Yeah.
And
It's arguably the biggest metal record of all
oh
time.
my god,
I mean, it's in the
absolutely.
top 10 best-selling records of all time.
What'd you guys think about the records after that, the Load and Reload, the other Bob Rock stuff, where it got a little
I
I love
alternative?
Load.
I
I-
do too.
yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
King Nothing.
King
Love
Nothing's
it.
2x4.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
it. Love it.
Great song.
But we like a lot of that stuff. Like even like with Aerosmith, like the 9 Lives record that
Loved
nobody
it.
loved.
Saw the tour.
Oh, you loved it?
Couldn't
okay,
find
great.
anyone
to go with me. Had
I
2
can't
tickets.
find one person that was like that's
Fallen
like
Love's Hard on the Knees.
Oh, it's so
Love
great.
it.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
It's so great.
I love that era of Aerosmith.
Well, Get a Grip was a huge. That was like '94, I think. But so Get a Grip's kind of my online point with Aerosmith.
Yeah.
It wasn't Permanent
Amazing
Vacation
and those
amazing,
songs.
crying, crazy, living on the edge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Eat the Rich.
You can't find that. That I still have yet to find 9 Lives on vinyl.
'90s was a black hole of vinyl.
I found Just Push Play in England,
Oh, nice.
I got
Oh, wow,
that.
nice.
but I you can find it online, but I don't like.
You
I
like
don't
that
you
know.
want
hunt.
to want
Yeah.
to find it in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Darkness, their first album, I found that in the UK, an original pressing. I was like, yes.
Nice.
Oh yeah, we've become obsessed. We have a system that we travel with. We call it Steve. It's Steve, the road case with the
It's a
speakers.
record
and,
player.
It's a record
Oh,
Oh,
player.
nice.
yeah.
That's
Folds
awesome.
open,
Just like for like the dressing room or like the...
Yeah,
Yeah.
It
Awesome.
holds whiskey and vinyl.
You guys
Great.
drink alcohol?
Oh, wait a second.
Sometimes.
Second question. Can we go on tour with you guys? This sounds
Absolutely.
Like fun. Just
That's
listen
so
to vinyl.
cool. So you guys
has-
travel with a vinyl rig.
Yeah.
it has a
holy
whiskey drawer too.
That's
if you're
so
into
awesome.
Wow. Again, the booze. I
I mean, records. Yeah. But
That's fun. That's
No,
cool. Is it like
absolutely.
specifically custom made for that?
Yeah, we kind of got the components together and gave it to Alcorn in town. They make cases.
Yep.
probably the most
I
rock
was
and roll
like,
thing that
Here's
we've
our
done.
things.
Yeah.
How do we do this? And we kind of just brained it out with them. And it fits through doors properly, and then it opens up, and there's speakers on
Awesome.
each side. I wanted like a wide stereo spectrum.
Yeah.
What are the records that are staples in that road case that don't leave? So you're buying shit on the road.
we
I get
buy it on
but-
the road.
But what's not leaving?
It's different. Like
We also-
I bring out like I start with like 10 records, and then it's like we got to fill the drawer, so
We
we
have
go
that-
record shopping every
we
day.
have that live Dio. Was it Donington or no?
Yeah, that I found this Dio record in Belgium.
We have that one in there.
Live at Donington, 83 and 87.
So cool.
Oh, rad.
Awesome.
So badass.
Yeah.
We keep a rig on our bus, and I'm going to show you what I torture my guys with.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah, this is good.
Well, we did have Toto in there for a while and just
Well,
on
that's
repeat.
good party music.
Yeah.
That and like some James
Yeah.
Brown or some old soul.
Oh,
Oh,
you can't
man.
go wrong
Oh,
with
you
James
can't-
Brown, yeah,
dude.
for
Yeah.
sure. That's probably one of those things too. Like in your fans listening to you guys talking about bands like or artists like James Brown and Toto. It's like
Oh, it's so
people often put, especially hard rock / metal bands, put them in a corner. Like you only listen to that stuff.
Oh,
The
Yes,
Coming
there
to
it is.
America
Hell yes.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
oh my
Can I see
gosh.
that?
I play it. We call it the golden hour, the hour before every show, and I blast
Dude.
it in the lounge.
That is amazing.
Have
You guys fans of Coming to America?
Yeah. Have you been watching Tales from the Tour Bus season 2?
No, I've seen a
haven't
few
yet.
of those.
I've-
It's the funk one. It's
all about
ridiculous.
funk.
I
I'm
didn't
sure.
know what I was getting myself into, and it's crazy.
Rick
Yeah.
James Part 2 is Eddie Murphy's in there with him, and
Okay, cool.
Oh, man.
that song
Party all the time.
We-
My
that was-
girl
yeah.
wants to party all the time.
party
all the
time, party all
Coming correct.
great.
That was Eddie doing
Classic.
a Rick James impersonation.
gosh.
And
to
they
a
were
song
just
that
in the
Rick wrote
studio
with
hanging
him.
out because they were buds.
Just
and Rick
crazy.
is like, dude, like
That's
put
a
down a
hit.
bass line.
Yeah.
And like they recorded it like, on a bender, and that became it.
Party all the time.
Yeah, it was
Amazing.
with Rick James.
I wonder
yeah.
if that's the same session they did Boogie in Your Butt.
So, like,
I hope so.
like Eddie Murphy, we have good and bad news. The good news is the song's a hit. The bad news is you have to go on tour now.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're an artist now.
Oh, if you want something to like put next to anal vomit,
Yeah?
but it's subtle, but you should like put it on.
Okay.
No, it's something that like if you put it on at the end, like you want people to leave like end of the party, or depending on the people you want to stay. That Tina Turner thing that we have. Remember
Oh, Ike and Tina.
Ike and Tina.
What song is it? We have
Oh
this
my
live
god!
at
For the
Carnegie Hall or
time,
something.
it's so pornographic. They're
Oh, really?
literally
Yeah.
they're basically like fucking on stage. It's crazy.
That's actually the inspiration for Do Not Disturb. But
Yeah.
few people know that.
Few
Halestorm
people know we
fans
were
know.
listening to Ike and
thing.
Tina.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and that's what did it.
I love that you guys have that vinyl station out there. It's such a so you guys are kind of hip into the idea of like holding it, picking it up,
It's
Yeah.
a whole.
listening
It's like,
together.
baseball
Yeah,
cards to
yeah.
me.
Right,
You know,
Exactly.
like,
That's a great point. Yeah. I mean, I still buy vinyl. I don't buy as much on the road just because it's a lot to travel home with. Although I still have like those like old school DJ cases, look like road cases kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have one of those I used to take on the road all the time. My goal was to fill it every tour,
that's awesome.
even if it was whether it was brand new vinyl or 99-cent bins or whatever.
What was the guy that the country guy that we got that inspired your glasses? Who's
oh
that
yeah,
guy?
my the HVAC guy that fixes our HVAC system when it goes weird. He saw we have like a record room, we have a studio, and then in our basement there's like a little side room that's just all our vinyl. And he's like, "Oh, you like vinyl?" And I was like, "Well, let me bring in my dad's collection. It's just been sitting in the basement." Like he literally brought it over, and he was like, "Don't open this in the house. Like, let's open these boxes here." And like all these brown recluse spiders ran out. He's like, "I knew it! I knew it!" And he was like stomping on them.
Holy shit!
But there's a
but there was a gem in there.
but there's a bunch of gems in there. All this old country, like what is it, guy John Connolly? Like,
That was it.
I don't know who he is, but the album cover is amazing. He's just got like this pimpin' fur coat and these red, like rose-colored glasses, and he
Nice.
just looked like a mustache, like 70s country dude. He looked awesome. I was like, I need to find those.
That's kind of the beauty of vinyl too. When you go out to a record store and go to those 99-cent bins, I've bought stuff, and I'm sure you guys have too, just off the album
Just
cover.
off-
I'm like,
yeah.
that looks badass.
Yeah.
Like,
I miss that. I miss that. You know, I used to do that with records a lot with CDs. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like buying it because the title was weird, or I mean, that's what anal vomit is.
And, well, and that's the and isn't that the point
what
of
it always is.
why we like work so hard on album covers
Absolutely.
or like titles?
'Cause you're
of
hoping
songs,
someone will
'cause you're
do it.
hoping somebody
Yeah.
will be like, "Ooh,
you're trying to.
That
you're
sounds
trying
interesting.
To, yeah, you're trying to recreate
Or it
the
looks-
magic that you remember.
yep."
well,
You know.
why do you think I put my face on my reggae album?
Yeah, duh.
look at this magic.
Inspiration
Is that Brad
in
Pitt?
the mirror.
I'm buying this.
I gotta get it.
I didn't know Ryan Gosling put out a record.
That's crazy. He did a reggae album.
All right, so we have this thing called Patreon, where we have patrons who support the show, and we let them ask people like you questions.
Awesome.
Cool.
Is that cool if we read out some questions?
That sounds great.
And some of these are kind of Metallica. We haven't talked much about Metallica, which is
I keep trying to interject, and we loop back around.
We're not,
really
and we're
cool
not trying
about
to
that.
block that. We're not trying to Metallablock you.
No
at all.
Metallablock. Yeah, I
No,
know.
no Metallablock.
That's my wife's job.
We're just all just so interesting, you know.
I mean, we got another 7 hours to go. I just figured we would do the
Yeah.
patron portion.
Right now,
Let's get
yeah.
this out of the way. Yeah.
All right, so our first question is by our friend Edgar. He says, do either of you have any funny or cool stories interacting with the guys in Metallica?
No.
No. We
Never
got
met him.
One-word answers only,
we
please.
we got to be side stage.
Yeah, first time
like
seeing
next to
him.
their pyro. Dude,
Yeah, it was like Rock'em Ring.
which was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Or
How many-
Ring or Park? No, it was Ring.
Ring, yeah.
In Germany, and we got side stage. We were standing up in the balcony side stage, watching them in front of like 80,000 people, and it really
That was
ruled.
really
Like,
that was cool.
The energy they put out. We saw Rage. Was it the same year? Or the next year? 2 years later, same spot. We got a little side stage, and to watch that energy go out to the Germans is amazing.
Wait, what year was this? It was
2012?
Rage
12,
with Rage,
2013,
Rage with Zach
2014?
De La Rocha?
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
They got back together for a short period.
What kind of
yeah.
material were they doing? Just for the whole catalog?
The good shit.
Yeah, good.
all the
Yeah,
good
just
shit,
all the hits.
So
all the
any
time.
song?
I loved
by
it because
Rage?
like there was a JCM 800, a bass rig, and the drums, and a backdrop.
Yep.
There may be a backdrop.
Yeah,
Remember,
that's-
because
and
it was like there
real
was
bare bones, yeah.
nothing. Yeah,
And they're like every song is like a study in tension and release. And
Absolutely.
it is like awesome.
And great riffs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and
To watch
again,
it, like-
going back to what we were talking about too, like with like the bare bones thing, it was great to see that, like this, like this
And see the power of
cornerstone,
it, yeah.
and and like
Yeah.
in between all this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, no, they rocked harder than most of that.
I feel like very, very fortunate to have seen Rage Against the Machine a few times.
I never saw him.
That's
Because
awesome.
I feel like it's like like Zach kind of came back for a while, and then he kind of went away and was about to do a solo record and release an awesome single, and then it was nothing.
The
So-
One Day as a Lion.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and then he did another one just under his name.
Who was the band or who produced it? I never heard of that.
I got to find it after we're done here. It's fucking awesome.
My 7th grade yearbook picture, I'm wearing the Evil Empire shirt, and I looked like that kid.
That's
Like the same haircut. It was like,
It's awesome. Oh, the other time interacting inadvertently with Metallica was at the Golden Gods. Remember?
Oh yeah, we played this award show.
We played this
with
award
them.
show
Yeah.
with them, and they
The Revolver one, right?
closed, right? Or was the Revolver? What? Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a Golden Gods.
And they posted the lineup list from their, and they changed everybody's name to something like super
Oh,
derogatory.
I
And-
saw that.
And
They
they
put Failstorm.
we were Failstorm, and we're like,
Yes!
I don't know why I'm so happy.
You know who
about
did that?
that?
James did that.
Fuck yeah.
That's so cool.
That's
Isn't that
awesome.
cool?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I know.
that's a compliment.
I've never been like more excited to have somebody like completely like
that's like
deface-
Weird Al want to do when your songs. You're like,
yeah, like,
please
do. Please make fun of us.
I mean, I know that the boys are big Ghost fans, and you guys remind me a lot of Ghost in,
Oh, that's
in
cool,
terms of, well,
thanks.
because you dress up like a pope and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's
There's that,
that.
yeah.
No, but like,
that.
I feel like Ghost is like, Ghost could have been an 80s pop band.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I honestly, I hope it doesn't offend you guys, because I mean it in the utmost
No.
complimentary
I love
way.
Ghost.
You guys, you guys' songs could be adapted that way, and they'd be that powerful.
That would be awesome.
Which I think, as a songwriter, I think is so fucking cool.
we were obsessed with their last record. and-
Prequel, or however
yeah,
you say it.
well, it's
I don't know how to say it.
It's
I don't know.
It just
I don't know how to
hits
say half
all.
that
It
shit.
hits all those like guilty pleasure things without the guilt. You
Right,
know,
yeah,
it's
I
like
agree,
you
for
just,
sure.
I like we still like on loop, just like listen to that on the plane.
And you
stuff
know,
like
Nick
that.
did their second record.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's
When
that
we were
connection,
we were
too.
recording ours, I think or were we recording? We're
We
at
were doing
Nick's
the last
studio
song,
and what's his name? Who's
Tobias.
Tobias. God, I was like Tobin, and I was like, that's
No.
not it.
Yeah, the ghost guy.
Yeah, he stopped by because him and Nick are still good buddies, and that dude is smart as a whip. Like,
Oh, really?
He's like
And like
his-
bona fide rock star.
Yeah, and he like his knowledge of metal and the production. He's calling out like pieces of equipment that started in 1987 on that record, and that's why all these records for the next 5 years sounded like this. Like he was like into it, and he knows
Yeah.
what's up.
So
and
cool.
I was like, oh, that
Full
dude's-
immersion, full
That dude is
dedication.
bona fide, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do another one?
Sorry.
Yeah, let's do another one. Lzzy and Joe, what are some of your favorite musical Metallica moments? He says an example. Mine is "Creeping Death" being his all-time favorite song. But musical moments. I guess, in
Favorite
general.
records,
Yeah.
favorite songs, favorite tours,
Yeah.
anything like that?
Well, okay, so one of the first songs that I got introduced to Metallica when I was like 12
34.
ish. And I was like very obsessed with, in the 90s, I was obsessed with the 80s. So I was listening to, Cinderella, Alice Cooper, Dio, that kind of thing, And so my neighbor, David, gave me this CD that he didn't want by Metallica, and it was the Garage Inc. So
okay.
I got introduced to Metallica from their cover record.
Did you know they were all covers?
Yes. He explained this to me. But it's interesting because then you work backward, and the next thing that I listened to after that was So What?
Nice.
And I'm like, wow, I can't show this to mom.
Right, yeah.
But it's, I think so for me, it was like more of the attitude of Metallica that kind of like, that got me, favorite musical moment later on, probably the intro to Fade to Black gets me for some reason, but
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Metallica, it was like Load was the era that that was the time when I accepted that I liked rock and roll, because I hated it at first and my brother liked it. So I was like, I'm not going to listen to that because he likes that.
How old are you? I'm just curious.
37, or I will be in a few weeks.
So that came out in 95, 96. So what was going on with you musically at that time where you didn't like rock and roll? Like, what were you listening to?
I wasn't even listening to much music.
Really?
Just my brother liked it. So I refused to until...
So you weren't playing guitar or anything?
No, it wasn't. It was like 7th grade I got into guitar.
Wow.
Because I remember riding home in middle school and I grew up in Wisconsin, and hearing 102.1, the rock station there. I don't know what song. It was like Soundgarden or something, and it just like, I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And I got to play guitar.
The switch went off.
I don't know why I have to play guitar, but I have to now.
I love that Load was part of that for you. That's really cool.
hell yeah, man.
Yeah, anything that was on the radio in like 95.
Because people,
96.
some like true old school OG Metallica cats don't like that era.
No.
I'm a big Load Reload guy. It's because of the time I was like 13, 14.
Yeah,
What was that
takes it
until
back.
Until It Sleeps? So
Yeah.
freaking
Oh,
cool.
That's
yeah.
my favorite Metallica song.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Like, I just saw the video for that the other day again. And
Isn't it amazing?
just took me, but like, yeah, it's so like arty and like, God, remember when there were budgets for videos?
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Kinda.
Although you guys have real good looking videos.
Oh, thanks.
I love the Do Not Disturb and all the horror elements of that. That must have been fun to
It's
make.
hilarious.
That was funny. It was like literally from 4 p.m. to 4:20 a.m. and we were laughing hilariously just because everything was just so funny. And
It's a funny
we were
video.
zany.
It comes off pretty good.
That's good. We wanted, I like a smile in rock and roll. That's
Yeah, we don't take
been
ourselves
missing
too-
for a
Well,
long
you
time.
could have, because that's such an intense song. It could have gone a different kind of way.
Yeah, well,
And I like the
we
tongue
thought
in cheek.
about that.
Yeah.
And then we're like,
And there's a place for that kind of shit
Yeah.
too,
yeah.
And you guys have like the desert video with the fire. and-
Yeah, sure. It's like we can be serious when we want to, but
Right.
we try not to be.
It's cool to have that side of a band though that that might be known as more of a serious rock band, to have elements of humor in there or ridiculousness.
It's great.
Or
It's
whatever.
balancing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and we again, like even like seeing like Metallica, the other night, they have that element too. It's like
The dad
they're-
humor.
They're,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I was dying because I'm just like, James, you're awesome. Like, good guy, James,
Yeah.
just making sure everyone's having a good time. And I thought the Jim Brewer thing was awesome
did too.
Yeah, it
like,
was great.
Like, what a cool way to open up the show. I wasn't sure what to expect. Like, are you gonna do comedy, whatever? But he just got everyone pumped up. Everyone sang a bunch of songs that everybody knew, and you see just 360. Like, these are, if anybody ever dares say there is no rock in Nashville, just go to that. Like, it's just 360.
Dude, that was our third show in
Yeah.
a row that week. We went to 10 years at Cohen, and we went with Nick, all of them, to Bring Me the Horizon. That show with like Thrice, if you guys are into that record.
Oh yeah,
well,
I love Thrice.
they're awesome. And the Bring Me the Horizon show was amazing. Like, the production was awesome. There's like 6,000 people there.
Awesome.
And like, they had a production, like we're into like figuring out our production scene for these bigger stages we're starting to do. And we have some cool stuff, but theirs was like, you could tell they put money into it.
Yeah.
But like the lights dropped down and it was moving around.
Yeah.
And like full automation. It was awesome.
Then you see the Metallica cubes, and you're like,
Oh my god!
Yeah, then you go to
Oh.
Metallica, and there's 18,000 people there. And
Our very drunk friend was being like, "There's actual people in those cubes," because like the one that like no,
Yeah.
honey, there's no people. Like, can you do? They're like the roadies
Look,
or
they're
something. Like,
trying
no,
to get out.
roadie jail.
Was it
That's
Sanitarium
not-
that they do
that's-
that on?
They did that on Sanitarium when we went to Birmingham.
I saw 3 shows
Oh,
in a row,
really?
so I'm
Oh, yeah, so
shaking
you-
on the
you
set.
got this,
but,
you got this.
But yeah, they like in the cubes and they're trying to get out and shit.
yeah, it was really well
That's
done.
really funny that someone thought they were people.
Well, you know, you'll think anything when you have a couple shots of
That's,
tequila.
where were you guys at for that show? Like, what part of the arena were you in?
we were on the floor.
We were by
back.
Big Mick. We were by the sound
by
guy.
front of house.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Front of house.
Like basically right close to where the band came running.
We
out.
were
Okay, we weren't there. We
we were on I think the opposite, right?
opposite side of
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Exact.
I get
opposite.
turned around in there sometimes.
I was like, "Where is it?" I was looking for front of house, and that was by like the Lexus Lounge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We were opposite the Lexus Lounge. There was like they had a friends and family room. that
Yeah, we were
kinda-
there.
we probably saw you. And
We
didn't
snuck
say
in.
no.
We literally
didn't
snuck
mean
into
we
the
didn't
friends
mean
and
to go
family
in there. Well, we had working passes. Our buddy hooked us up with, and he was like, "Hey, go down that elevator, and that'll take you to the floor, or whatever." Like, cool. So we got down the elevator, and we go to the left, and all of a sudden, it's like friends and family. And we like look at each other, and I'm like, "Okay, I've done a lot of touring. I know we're probably not supposed
We
to
just
be in here.
pretended we should have been
Just
there.
act like." And the guy running the door didn't give a
He
shit.
didn't
Oh, yeah,
give a
he
shit.
didn't care.
No, we walked in, and we had a friend in there too, and so we kind of like were able to mingle and be cool, and
Yeah.
we weren't
That's
trying.
awesome.
We weren't trying to like infiltrate anything. We just kind of wandered in.
Well, I mean, you kind
When were you in there?
you,
Before? Or
you
after?
also
Before the show, yeah.
You can always like pull the card, like, hey, no, we're do the podcast thing. So,
Yeah.
we're kind of a big deal.
Oh, they
It's
love
fine.
hearing that.
Yeah.
Oh, a podcast.
We're the podcast guys.
Let us roll.
Roll
do
out
a
the red
Metallica
carpet for you.
podcast.
I always thought it was like there are
We're
three.
here for
There
the
are three
interview.
horrible beginning sentences. One is I have a podcast. Yeah. All right. Number 2 is I had the craziest dream last night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 3
Tell me
is,
about it.
and this is the worst one. I wrote this poem.
Oh no.
All right, Jeff Kozak asks, at what point in the progression of the band did you guys feel that you'd quote unquote made it? Was there a defining moment or event?
I think it's been a series of small milestones.
Yeah.
Because it's our North Star has always been and continues to be like, how do we continue? What's next? And so for me, I can look back and I can see where things start to change. And those are those little things that you grab onto that like propel you forward. Like, all right, guys, cool. This happened.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So for me, it's like we're still, we're like, it's like video game. It's like you just kind of level up. It's like the same but different.
We got a long ways to go. I don't know.
But we're still working toward that. So like I don't know if there's ever going to be for us. There is ever going to be like, hey guys, we made it. We have a lot of these moments like right now. Like, hey, we're not crazy, so let's keep going. We're
still a band.
We're still a band. We've been the same 4 members for over 15
Maybe if
years.
we buy a Maui house, we'll be like, all right,
We've
Right.
made it.
When you're surfing with Kirk Hammett.
Although
Yeah,
I can
totally.
say as of right now, like definition of living the dream, I get to do what I love for a living with the people that I love, traveling the world, doing the one thing that I want to do, every night. It's awesome. But
that's a great way to look at it too. And I love what you said about like just little milestones, because
Yeah.
I'm that way where it's like making it is kind of, it's very relative. Like it could be all these little things, maybe at the end of the day, it's just, I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
I don't care if a million people know who I am.
And in a
Like,
lot of ways, depending on your goal, like again, like our goal is to keep going and keep continuing until somebody literally has to drag me off the stage because it's not cute anymore.
Right.
That's like, so like that being the goal, you can't really put those limitations either. Like we can't be like, well, when we do this, because when you're kids, you do that. Like, okay, man, we want to get on the front page of the newspaper.
Yeah.
All right, how do we do that? We did that.
wanna play
Cool.
Croc
Then that
Rock.
happened. Now we want to play Croc Rock.
Yeah.
Now we want to play the next club. Now we want to open up for nationals. Now we want to, and so all these things. And so you start ticking off things like your bucket list, but you keep adding things back on. Like,
Yeah.
okay, what's next?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a journey.
There's a tiny little shitty rock club in Birmingham where I'm from called the Nick. I don't know if you guys ever had the...
We might
I've
have.
heard of it. We haven't played there.
It's kind of a famous little dirty rock club.
Yeah.
And growing
Nice.
up there, it was just, that was like playing the Garden for me. So like when I was like
Yep.
17, 18, playing my first headlining Friday night slot at the Nick and people showed up, I was literally like, I did it.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
know?
Remember when we headlined Electric Factory in Philly?
Oh,
and-
what a great
Oh,
club.
that had to feel
and,
great.
And
yeah.
like we saw, I mean, growing up, like you see so many, and we were the house band at Whiskey Dick's
Yeah.
for years. Every Tuesday,
tiny bar
we'd,
next
we'd
door
be the
to it.
tiny
Right,
bar
yeah,
next
yeah.
door. We're like, well, we're gonna be on that
Was Electric
stage.
Factory like the big kind of local club for you guys that you grew up seeing bands at?
It was one of the
that
bigger. Yeah.
TLA.
the Trocadero
That-
probably
yeah.
too. Or that's Philly, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Truck is Philly, and I didn't see many shows at Truck. It was always TLA or
TLA or-
Electric Factory. So
Smells
that-
bad by the Trocadero.
Yeah,
World
some
Cafe
Chinatown.
up there?
Yeah, World Cafe
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
Played the small room and big room a million times up there.
But Electric Factory, that was always one of my favorite.
That's a
venues to
real
play.
rock
It's a
club.
real ass
Yeah.
club.
Like 1,000 caps or
And
something.
when you
2,200.
sell that place out,
really?
the catering gets better.
Oh yes. Yes.
It's Papa John's instead of Domino's.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Nicole Williams asks, why did you choose to cover the song Ride the Lightning? And she writes, by the way, it's badass, which it is.
It is
Oh,
so
thank
badass.
you. That
you
was-
crushed the solos.
Oh
dude.
my God,
Oh,
I have
thanks.
never seen his fingers move that fast. And that was a complete last minute addition. It was on like a big running list, but we were going to do that Percy Sledge cover that When a Man Loves a Woman, like
Oh, I would love to hear that.
in
from
a
you guys.
in a
actually
weird
would
way.
too.
So we started it, right? We started recording it this last day. We always give ourselves like 5 days, song a day, cover EP. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And so we got to the last day. We're like, do we really even want to do this? Who's gonna love this? My mom is gonna love
Yeah.
this. What else can we do? So we get on the phone with like our A&R, and everybody's like, we're gonna do something else. Like, what do you want to do? Like, I think we're gonna attempt to do Ride the Lightning.
That's a monster
Amazing.
song.
So my
Yeah.
little brother is literally like on his snare drum, like listening to the song, like counting out things so we can get it done efficiently. And I mean, it took forever, but we got it done.
So you basically, from conception to recording it, that was one day.
That
You
was-
charted it and kind of got it under your hands.
Yeah.
and-
That's
yeah.
really good.
Did you already know it? Like from
I mean,
being a-
yeah, kind of,
Not
but not
really.
but not in an active. Like we had never covered it before.
Sure.
So like to me, it's like it would have been easier. Like we should have started covering this years ago, and it would be easy.
You guys do it live?
No, we were sound checking it for a while,
So-
trying to see if we could like pull it off, and it just wasn't coming together right. And
Right.
kind of, I don't know, kind of then lost interest. Or
Well, once me and
forgot.
Clint go on tour with you, we can jump up there for that song.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
awesome.
it's a lot of pressure. Like it's one thing to do like this all-inclusive like humble pie song or like something that or something female fronted or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like people are gonna be like, but it's like it's a whole other like level of pressure when you're like, let's do Ride the Lightning live. With a lot of people that are just gonna like put that on YouTube right
Yeah.
after. We're like, do we really? So like every time we're
Yeah.
like, we got it close. Let's just do it. Let's just throw it in. And we're like, oh no, let's not do it.
There's not room
So-
anymore to like fuck up or something. 'Cause
I
it's going to
know.
be out there. And
Yeah.
And on one hand, sometimes we're like, screw it, let's just do it. And like we started doing that a couple times with just like even like with me like on piano or something, I'll start just throwing something in just for that day. Like I'll learn it before the show and we'll just go out and do it. So sometimes you want to risk it, other times you just don't want to risk
a
it.
song like that, you don't want to.
And
Hard to
Metallica's
be
like up
embarrassing.
there,
Yeah.
it's like
Well, I also want to encourage our fans listening to check out these cover EPs. There's 3 of them, and I love when bands do this when they kind of cross genre.
oh yeah.
Like I made a note. My Fell in Black Days is fucking great.
Oh, thank you.
And Hunger Strike sounds amazing.
Thank
I
you.
like the key change, the difference key. And Bad Romance was. I don't even
the
like
Lady Gaga?
I mean, I've heard her hits, but like I listened to your guys' version, I was like, this is a good song.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
it's a
you.
good rock song.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because like there's some songs that are popular in the pop world, but they lend themselves so well. Like we were like, dude, we can already hear. That was very easy because
Yeah.
we could already hear what we would do, and basically just replacing everything. And I'll pop the octave at the end and make it into something
Yeah.
ridiculous. But that's
That's cool.
So that was fun.
you kind of got the good balance of you got the good growl and you got a nice smooth thing too. So
Oh, thanks.
you can kind of do all that.
Feels like the end of the world, but it's only the
What do you? Is it hard for you to do that kind of growly shit like night to night? You can kind of get into Phil Anselmo world a little bit.
Yeah, when I do the guttural stuff, it doesn't hurt. It's not like you know, I've seen some people do this. Well, they're just like scream before a show, so they have that thing going on.
Yeah.
I don't do that. It's more of like, to me, it's a little bit of a trickery thing. It's like, it's almost the only way I can describe it and how it feels is that I'm confusing my own body into like, is it head voice? Is it chest? I don't know. I'll pull it up.
Are
And
you
then
doing it at a low volume?
No,
Like it's loud.
which is hilarious
so loud.
because
Really?
I know people who do that and they're like, no, you got to do it inward. I'm
Right,
like,
right.
I just don't have that talent. I'm a loud person, I guess, but no, it's interesting because and that's a huge compliment, by the way. Thank you so much, because I like being
You're welcome.
something with a singer. For me, I want to be multifaceted. I want to, over the course of a night, me to be screaming my head off, and then the next one I'll do this nice little love ballad,
Sure,
so
yeah.
you can see I can do the other thing too.
No,
it's a
it's
weird,
really cool.
I think that's where my ego lies, is right there, and that's the in between of that thing. But
Do you feel that way? Like I saw a thing where you guys were doing some TV show and Selena Gomez was the guest sitting there,
Yeah.
and then you guys did it some tune, and it was like a big vocal tune for you, and
Mm-hmm.
like all the comments were like, the vocal's amazing, and it was. But do you ever feel like a great singer, like whoever, Lord or Maren Moore? I don't
Yeah.
even know,
Yeah.
just whoever,
Barbara Streisand.
of course.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
Babs.
Do you feel like you want to prove to them that because maybe they assume certain things about a rock band, but you kind of feel like, listen, motherfucker.
yeah, I think so too. And I also think about it from their standpoint, as in like every pop chick, and this is not dissing pop chicks. I know a couple of them, but everybody wants to be a rock star.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Whether you're a rap star, pop star, country, everybody wants to be a rock star. So my view of it is that just be that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, be the real thing. Be all of those things that is that, you know, what they want to be. And so like to me, showing that at two different genres, like I got to get up with Eric Church at the CMAs,
Oh, cool.
CMTs the one year, and that was an amazing thing because, you know, at the time, you know, I knew nothing about country. I'm just the black sheep at the awards. I'm like, that guy looks like he's somebody, but I don't know who he is, you know, and to get that opportunity. And this is hugely, you know, obviously Eric Church is a great guy for doing this, but giving me that opportunity to be like, no, I can rock, but it's good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like I'm trying to be offensive. I'm just doing my thing.
Was that his deal? Was that his
You know.
invite?
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
That wasn't like a
He's
label or a management
He's a
thing?
smart guy. No, he contacted us.
No, he's cool. Metallica had him at their Orion Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. And his band, wasn't it his band that introduced him to RCD?
Yeah, they're a bunch of rockers.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
yeah.
forget how that.
Most
order went.
country bands in this town are displaced rock kids
Yeah.
like me.
but he took us out on tour after that too. So like it
Eric did?
Yeah.
Wow.
It started
was
with
awesome.
with the
Wow.
CMA, CMTs, and he's like, you know, hey, so we got this weird letter from Eric Church's camp, and he's performing at the CMAs. They want him to do a single. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to do That's Damn Rock and Roll, but he wants you to sing with him. And so I'm like, okay. So sure. Always say yes and then figure it out later.
Yeah,
that's
of course
how
I can.
that's how we run our business.
Sure
Say
I can do
yes,
that.
dive head first. So so I go up there to do it. We do the song. We have like our separate part duet thing. A minute before he's about to like go into this pit to be like elevatored up through the stage for his like intro, he's like, Lzzy, I've been thinking about what we've been doing. He's like, there's going to be a point in time. I'm just going to step back. You just do your thing. Just make a moment. Good luck. I'm like, what?
What moment?
So we do this performance, and I can see it in my face. I'm like, what the hell? You know, like we're not doing. And he gave me the opportunity to prove myself with all of these
Wow.
people. And then he took us out on tour. And the first day of tour, he's like, all right, I don't want you catering to the audience. I want no ballads. Don't do anything even remotely country. Come out swinging. This is what you're here for. And we went out opening up for him and Dwight Yoakam and
Wow.
blew some cowboy hats off.
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
It was like so amazing as a musician because you have like 3 songs to like prove yourself to these guys, and like front row, like crossed armed, like I don't know what we're.
Let's see what you got.
Hey, let's see what you got, girl.
We had a good approach.
It was
though.
awesome.
We did it like
because
we
then
did.
when you get them, it's like whoa.
Yeah, we did it like we did back in the day when nobody knew who we were. We were like, all right, what's the best thing we got going for us? And it was like Lizzy's voice. Cool. That's how we're going to start the show, a cappella.
Thanks,
Then there's
guys.
like no genre involved. They don't know what
Smart.
it is. You know, she'd start off stage singing and walk out singing, and people be like, woo, I like this. And then we'd come in like heavy and then be like,
Huh?
Wait a second.
that's
Wait
not.
a minute.
Huh? Yeah.
Surprise!
It was good. It was like
they did that to me opening up for Megadeth. It's like
in France.
oh no.
No, it was awesome
Go
because
get him,
we
Tiger.
had 2 shows
Sure.
opening for
Go.
Megadeth, but it wasn't advertised that there was an opening band, and they had already been sold out. And this was like 2009 or 2010, our first or second time in Europe ever. So nobody knew who we were. It wasn't advertised, and we knew some of their crew guys from previous tours, and they're like, "Hey, just keep your eyes open out there because Megadeth fans throw things like
Yeah, like
coins and
coins,
shoes."
Oh,
Yeah.
And,
Jesus.
and
coins.
So they all look at me. They're like,
good
"Good
luck, Lzzy.
You're starting
See
this
you
one.
later."
Like you come out in full catcher's gear, like
Yeah,
Axl
exactly.
Rose,
Yeah.
early 90s.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah.
No, it was-
but
but it
it's
was
fun.
great.
It's fun
We
to
won 'em
win
over.
people over. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I did 6. I was in a kind of an ambient Radiohead-ish rock band with a female lead singer called Dugas, and we were signed to Zach Brown's record label
Oh, nice.
he was a fan, and he took us out for 6 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you know, some nights were okay. Like if we were in LA, it was okay. If we were in Kansas, it was real weird for
Yeah,
us.
it's like, who
but
are
there was
you?
something fun about that again, like having to prove it again
Yeah.
and get people on your side.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
up until that point, like, you know, we had gotten used to, like, if we do a show, in general, people have heard of us or know
Sure.
what they're getting themselves into. Here, it was absolutely new again,
Right.
and it's like you really get off on it because you're like looking at the guy and you're like, I'm gonna get you,
Yeah.
and so you start staring him down. They're like, okay, that's weird,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
But then like they're like, nope, and then they're like shoving their buddy like, hey, no, actually that's gonna, and then all of a sudden at the end when they're like, woo,
Yeah.
like all right,
Yeah.
got you, yeah.
Reminds me of Jason Lee and Almost Famous. Like I get people
I know.
off.
Yeah.
I look
find
for the one.
Yeah, the one guy.
who's
It's
not
my
getting
favorite
off,
movie.
and I make him get off. That's what does he say? He's like, that's the thing. What does he call it? The magic or the buzz.
Yeah, that's the buzz. That's the buzz, man. Yeah.
You know what I do? I connect. I get people off. I look for the one guy who isn't getting off, and I make him get off. Actually, that you can print. Talking about is... Wait, what am I talking about?
The buzz.
All right, are we cool for more questions?
Of course.
You want to do one?
Yeah, we're Nicole's last one. Simon Wellman says, I would like to ask, what are they most proud of? Album, song, performance, something else from a professional point of view? Something in your career
That we're
that you're
extremely proud
of, yeah.
Staying together.
That's a good
That's a big
answer.
one. I think that's our biggest personal triumph. We've been the same 4 members for over 15 years, and we haven't killed each other yet. Living 2 feet from each other in whatever monstrosity that we're touring in. Also, I don't know. I think the live performance, I think I'm really proud of.
Yeah, to me, it's our commitment to always get better. Like every show is just like, all right, we could do this better, and then do it and get better,
Yeah,
and try to be a better band always, and not settling. Maybe is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time when it looked like the band might not be the same, or you might get a different? Your brother might move on, or you might have to get someone else, or
No, not since this, you know, these. So, like, my brother and I started, I was 13 and he was 10. We named the band Halestorm. My brother was always very good at drums, so all I had to do was, like, write stupid little songs on
Yeah.
whatever. I was playing guitar at the time, which
Yes.
is my gateway from piano to guitar.
could be in that Flock of Seagulls cover
Yeah.
band any
That's
day.
right.
now.
Yeah.
I know. No, if you want to laugh, all that stuff came back out on YouTube and to
fun.
haunt me. Things I didn't even remember we
could
did,
do your hair
and
up
all of a
like-
sudden, like some fan is like, "Look what I found!" I'm like, "No,
It's still there.
It's
awesome.
It's over there." So if you want to laugh at 3 a.m, get stoned and do that. But
That's my plan tonight.
yeah. Look up like Halestorm 99. But so we started young, but we had this kind of rotating door of like young musicians. So we'd have a 16-year-old guitar player that was in it for 6 months because his mom gave us an ultimatum: if we're not signed in 6 months, I'm pulling him out. That kind of thing. And then we had 2 other members that were buddies, and they were in the band for a second, but then they figured out they could make more money being a cover band, and they didn't want to do the original thing. Totally fine. But we were like in limbo for a while. We found Joe and Josh, and from that moment that we all met and we hung out and we jammed, that hasn't wavered.
Yeah. That's when like all
If anything, we're still just as immature. We
Sure,
didn't grow
yeah.
up since that.
But when that lineup came together, that was like, okay, all the puzzle pieces have fit finally. Like
Yeah.
that's your kill 'em all lineup.
That's
like,
the buzz.
That's the
buzz,
buzz.
man. Well, it's funny because even like little bro was saying this to me. He's like, "Do you remember like us talking about that after like we had that first little jam session? We jammed to what was the Beatles song? We covered it later. She's So Heavy.
I Want You.
So I Want You was the first song that we all collectively like knew together. Like, oh, that's one we all know.
Yeah.
Let's start there, and it went on for remember it went on
we, like,
forever,
jammed
and
the
then
end
RJ
out.
like freaked out, like in a good way, freaked out, and, like destroyed his kid. He's like, and I remember he was telling me this the other day. He's like, remember that feeling we got? Like we're a band. It took us years to get to the point where we're a band, and then it was just it's just remained the same.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Biggest accomplishment.
Good.
Great answer. I was going to say maybe getting that cowbell, but
There is that.
Yeah.
Well, we still have yet to put it on something.
That's still something to be proud of.
I'm gonna go write something tonight.
there we
With the-
go.
Start with
Yeah.
the cowbell.
Start
Cowbell
with the
heavy.
cowbell.
Just start there and then riff
Ooh,
around that.
That's a great idea. Start with the cowbell.
Yeah.
Nobody ever starts.
Who does that anymore, right?
I think the last band and maybe the only band was Blue Oyster Cult.
Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Monkey Business.
Monkey Business.
Yeah.
War.
War.
Or, yeah.
It has a cowbell riff. I need a cowbell riff.
And
I gotta
you
beat
do.
the war one.
Low
Yeah, you do.
Ride,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
all
but
my
don't
friends.
do
That was
Cowbell
all
riff
my
tonight.
friends.
No, the low rider.
I like that we may have somehow inadvertently inspired the next Halestorm single.
I think
No big deal.
that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
All right, Kevin Van Dam says, will you cover another Metallica song? 10% a question, 90% a request.
Ooh. Absolutely. I mean, I don't see what would
I
you
think
guys?
King
what-
Nothing might be on the docket for Joe.
I was
over
going to
here.
say,
Play that
what
in
would
my
you
high
guys want to
school
hear?
band.
Yeah.
That was.
Why didn't you bring that up when we were doing
I
right?
don't
We
know.
could have done that song.
It'd have been a much easier song.
It would have
Much
been such
easier,
an
yeah.
easier song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
down
ain't
with that.
scared.
I'll
I'd
rock
want to do
King
something off
Nothing.
load or something that offends the most people.
There you go.
Some
Most
same
fans.
anger.
You guys do that every couple of years? Is that sort of part of your cycle?
It has been. We've been talking about it lately because like we haven't really like been like excited to do that. You know, like
Yeah.
we've actually been writing a lot of original material. We almost want to just like go in and do another record.
Wow.
You know, but I love doing the cover thing because it's almost we use it as a tool sometimes
Yeah.
to like experiment
And
because
it's a palate cleanser too, a little bit.
yeah, and it's kind of a low pressure one because
Yeah.
I mean obviously without
Unless you do Ride the Lightning. You know?
yeah, that is. But it's like, you know, the song is already proven. You don't have to have that whole guess factor of like, is it going to be a hit? No, it was already a hit. Doesn't matter. But it's something for the fans. But it's also like, for instance, when we did that Skid Row cover on the first one, that inadvertently inspired Love Bites. Because we didn't have anything like that in that tempo. So we're like, okay, let's get that tempo with that energy.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we ended up doing Love Bites. So
You did Slave to the Grind, right?
yeah, Slave to the Grind, yeah.
Nice.
So in that aspect, I'm like, are we shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't do it? Sometime maybe that's our process. Maybe we got to experiment with something new whilst doing somebody else's song
Yeah.
to get
Good use
wherever
of
the
whilst.
Next,
Yeah.
Whilst,
Good use of
I love
whilst.
that word.
That
I don't know
was solid.
why.
And also, none of us knew that word until we got iPhones.
Or how to spell it.
Whilst
Why is it
I just looked
autocorrecting to whilst? What is this?
I just looked up how to spell couth the other day. Like,
Is
like
it C-O-U-T-H?
it's I think it's K.
No.
Or is it
K-U-T?
no? It is C. It's C-O-U-T-H. Yeah, but I thought it was K,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't think I've actually spelled this before.
Let's
so, yeah.
let's. Can you use it in a sentence? Would it be couth to use it in a sentence?
That,
Ooh.
oh,
Excellent.
Toilet paper word
Look
of the
at
day.
this.
Smarty pants over there.
wow!
I had that in the chamber.
does live
I was
behind-
hoping couth
Wow.
would come up.
He
I
does live
like-
behind a
You
school too.
literally
so
blew my you blew my mind there with that. That's amazing.
That's a prestigious elementary school.
How do you
right behind
ask
you.
a question and answer it at the same time?
No.
You're a great podcast host.
Look no further.
Wow!
You really podcast. Wow.
You podcast so hard.
Here's another question, and I was actually curious about this too. Rye, that's all his name is. R-Y.
All right.
That's right from Sabbath Bloody podcast.
Oh,
who
right,
does
right,
the
right,
Black
yeah.
Sabbath
Totally.
podcast.
Cool. He does a Black Sabbath podcast. What were the vibes like when you were brought onto the Heaven and Hell tour? And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys just came on the last show?
Just the last
Yeah,
show.
last
Okay,
show.
I wanted to make sure when they asked that. Any epic Dio encounters? I've always wondered if they were if they were tight on that tour. Yeah, any kind of memory. I know it was only one show, but
Yeah, no, we our booking agent knew that Lzzy was a big Dio fan, and he was booking Heaven and Hell too. And Coheed and Cambria couldn't make the very last show of that tour in Atlantic City, and we happened to have a day off in between shows on whatever tour we were on. He's like, "Do you guys want to do that?" We're like, "Yeah,
Yes,
we want
we'll
to do
drive
that."
for it however
Yep.
long we have to. Yes.
And turned out to be Ronnie's last show ever.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lzzy, you have a good Dio story from.
Oh, well, you know, it's like they were such nice dudes, and it's like it's really nerve-wracking when you're opening up a set, and it was in Atlantic City at the House of Blues, so they have these little balconies off of every dressing room, and you see Geezer Butler and
Yeah.
and just like watching the set, and I'm like, oh, damn, don't mess up. Oh, you messed up. Crap, but after the show they were just so nice, and it's like it just felt, they made you feel like you had been on the tour,
cool.
and that you were there, and they hung out with us. They didn't have to.
It's cool. So they
but
were
hung
aware
out.
that
they
there
were
was
aware.
a change in the tour and the other band
They were
couldn't
absolutely
make it.
aware. They were like just around.
That's so cool.
And so at the end of the night, it was like 2 a.m, whatever. At the end of the night, we're walking out.
Well, when we met
Yeah,
Ronnie,
yeah.
I'm before you get to that,
okay,
he
sorry.
came up to Lzzy and like reached up and like pinched her cheek. He's like, "You got it, girl," and
got it.
he
I'm like-
signed her. They gave us
Oh,
all
yeah.
the backstage passes because
Yeah.
it was the end of
When
the
we met,
tour,
yeah.
and he like, "You kick ass."
And he's like, "Is that okay that I said ass?" I'm like, "Yes, that's fine,
That's
Ron.
fine, Mr. Dio.
Totally
What a
fine.
nice man.
What a nice guy." But so after that, like, because they stopped their whole like meet and greet to come and hang out. Remember, they
Yeah.
stopped their meet and greet. They're like, "Wait, just stop the line here."
Because
Like,
you guys were splitting or something? Or?
no, we were just hanging out, and I guess whatever.
Kind
And
of waiting for them to be done.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
we
Yeah.
were just waiting, and they did that. So anyway, fast forward to the end, and we're hanging out. They're like, "Oh, I guess we gotta go," and so we're all going out to like the buses, and we were in an RV at the time, and so Ronnie turns to me, he's like, "Just wait right here, don't leave yet. I gotta say hi to these fans, but I want to say bye, before we leave." And I'm like, "Okay, cool," so we're like just waiting,
Yeah.
for Ronnie to be done, and he signed everything for everybody, every picture, everything. And then he still came back to say bye.
Wow.
And I told him, I'm like, "Ronnie, like, it's almost 3 a.m. Like, if you wanted to just go to bed and leave, like, I would understand." And he looks at me, he's like, "Lzzy," he wags his finger. He's like, "It's a moment in time. You are never going to remember all these venues or all these people that you meet, but they're going to remember meeting you for the rest of their life.
That's
so you
cool.
make it good for everyone."
Man, I love
and
that.
I'm like, and then it's funny because it took me years, because I'm thinking he's teaching me a lesson like about what he just did to his fans, right?
Right.
But it took me years to like the epiphany to having like, oh my God, he did that for me.
It was
He
me.
literally, he made a moment in time for me that I now have that.
Right.
I know that Ronnie came back to say bye to me and made it good for me,
Amazing.
made that moment for me so that I'll remember that for the rest of my
That's
life.
so cool.
And I'm like, I get like emotional thinking about it because like what band, how many years, like he's a legend.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to do that.
Right.
I'd still think he's great even if he never said hi to
Even if
me.
he was kind of an asshole, you'd be like, "But it's Dio."
But it's Dio.
Yeah,
It's fine.
he's allowed to.
But what a cool guy. And so when we went, we did his stand up and shout kind of
Benefit.
tribute benefit
Yeah.
thing, and it was great to hear all the stories that everyone had, like very similar, like, wow, like we just didn't realize, and he was so amazing. And that's what I love about that Donington record, that live record, because there are certain songs where like he starts with like the second verse and you're not quite sure, did he mean to do that or he just
Right.
screwed up, but he comes back around. It's like, what a great
yeah.
I have
Thanks, so.
at that stand up and shout benefit, there was a silent auction.
Oh, yeah.
She had some shoes from a music video or some other
Foot
stuff
sniffers,
that we
yeah.
all donated, but I bid on the weirdest thing I found in there, which is Ronnie James Dio's personal bookends.
Wow.
What
from
are
his
they?
House. They're just clear, and they have his initials.
Okay,
and I
cool.
won them.
You
Wow,
did.
cool.
Awesome.
So I have
probably
Ronnie
a fan
bookends.
That's
That's
fun.
awesome.
It's awesome. It's ridiculous.
I love how random it is. Too.
They're
Yeah,
like,
no,
they're
it's
like, you were
perfect.
the only one who wanted this.
Yeah,
so here-
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, the only bid, by the way. Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, the bookends go to the only bidder.
Yeah.
Jake Sarche says, "What's it like being in a band with your brother?" He has 2, so maybe we'll start there. What's it like being in a band with your brother all these years later? Seems pretty good.
And no, it's awesome. He's my little buddy. And there's something about when that is just a factor in your band, the family thing, because we know how to fight and not break the whole thing up, and like not like throw everything out because we had a fight. It's like, and I think that bleeds into, the rest of the band members and also our crew. So it's like now it's been this inadvertent, I don't know, just the way things are in our camp, this culture that we have, which is kind of a family culture, is in like, okay, we can all be completely brutally honest with each other. We could have a spat, we can do whatever, and still be like, but that's pretty cool. Let's
Yeah,
go,
totally.
let's go on stage and rock this. Awesome. But he's awesome because he's always kind of completed me with this band, where it's like, there's so much that I can't do that he's able to do, and then vice versa. So us jamming together as kids, this was always something that we could do together. And so the fact that like we're doing this together, we have a lot of those like remember when
Yeah.
moments with each other. And so that is also extremely fulfilling to like have that memory with a family member, because a lot of people that tour, you're on tour 90% of the year and you never see your family, so the fact that I have that family aspect too is always cool.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
Very cool.
And I'm sure that plays a part in the unity
music.
of the music. And
There's a musical language you have with someone
Siblings.
like even though my brother is very inconsistent is not the word. He's very sporadic and he's unpredictable, which is part of what we do as a band, part of our sound. But there are moments where I look back and I'm like, oh, I know he's gonna hit that cymbal. I know he's gonna crash right now. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do that with somebody that you've known your entire life. So
that's cool. What were you gonna say, Joe?
He hates it. No, I'm kidding.
I forgot. honestly.
I quit.
And I quit. No.
all right, this is a follow-up question. This is an interesting question. It says, relating to the provocative lyrics and attention Lzzy must receive from male groupies.
Ooh.
Does it get awkward?
Moopies.
P.S. Lzzy, marry me. I'm sure you get that all the time.
Oh, like awkward as in like family member situation.
Well, I think maybe that's an interesting angle too. So like your mom's going to hear "Do Not Disturb," so you got to explain that maybe, or she doesn't care because you're a grown up.
She doesn't care.
Or the angle of like getting a lot of attention, the kind of attention that a dude might get. It's the same deal from females or however it works, or females for you or dudes for you. How do you navigate that? Or do you? Is it even a thing?
I get both. The ladies love me just as much, so I get a good 50-50.
Ladies are crazier.
Yeah, I think girls are crazier as far as groupies go. But yeah, I don't know. Like to me, it's like I grew up listening to a lot of male fronted rock and a lot of sexually charged. Like there's what's
Zeppelin.
There's Zeppelin, and then there's Van Halen,
Yeah,
and
totally.
There's that whole point in remember that Rainbow song, I wanna love you all night long, and they're talking about like those things. You're talking about a girl backstage. I don't know. So for me, it's a very natural thing for me to talk about because that's part of it. That's part of the rock. That's part of the rock
buzz,
thing.
man.
It's
That's
the
the buzz.
It's some of the folklore, some of the folklore and the fantasy,
The mythology,
of being a rock star, and so to be able to kind of live that to a certain extent, but also to write about it. I understand how it's different coming from a female perspective, but it's amazing how I thought I was going to get more hate mail because of it, because of like, oh, you're a girl, you shouldn't be talking about that, or my daughter hears this and you're supposed to be a good role model, blah, blah, blah. But I've gotten the complete opposite. I've gotten letters from mothers being like, thank you for owning your sexuality and being strong in that aspect, or from a position of power in that aspect, because I want my little girl to hear that.
I think that's awesome.
Which
Great,
is really cool, and it's something that I didn't expect doing. I just I like writing about that stuff.
Well, and
it's
that's,
fun.
I mean, you're just being you too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, that transparency. I think people over time. I mean, there might be some people who don't like it, but that transparency that you're putting out.
Oh, yes.
In music, people they see it and they embrace it.
I find that the more you are yourself, for better or worse, because believe me, like I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not even a really good role model, but you put yourself out there and the things that you believe in and that fundamental truth that put out that positivity, put out that empowerment, that strength, and people recognize that more so than if you're trying to be something that you're not.
Sure.
So that to me is really cool.
I have one more follow-up that's kind of in that. And I'm not trying to ignore you, Joe. I'm going to ask every other
He's
question.
like, please
to you.
ignore me.
Golden.
Someone else asked, and I thought this was
Sing like
interesting
cowbells.
because some people get kind of butthurt about the framing of this question.
That's
like,
okay.
And I'm sensitive to that too because I've worked with female artists for much of my career. But it's like, I'm not a female rock star. I'm a rock star. I get that. But actually, I do think there's a difference in gender, and like, there's a different way that you interact as a female in an industry like the music industry.
Absolutely.
So Michael Salazar asks, what are some of the biggest challenges of being a front woman for a popular band? Which ties into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the challenges that I face, I had blinders on for many years. Like, you go through these, like, tiers of these battles that you kind of go through. Like, the first is yourself. As in, like, I grew up in a household where we really didn't talk about the whole glass ceiling thing. Mom didn't, like, sit me down and be like, so I know you want to do this, but you're going to get out in the real world and they're not going to, like, really.
Girls can't do that.
Yeah. So I wasn't aware. And so you just have this, like, these moments that happen in your life, like when we're like carrying in our equipment and I'm carrying in my guitar and one of the roadie guys goes by like, oh, my girlfriend never carries my guitars, like just assuming. No, like, but rightfully
My
so.
girlfriend
But,
doesn't change my guitar strings.
but then so in that level, you use that as kind of a weapon. So that's when we started like, okay, well, let's just start with me because no one's expecting me to be out there. So let's do that and use that as a and then you'd get those guys later on be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, well, you
that's cool.
assumed.
Oh, now you're sorry.
Now you're sorry. Yeah. So, but then you get to
an
the
apology's
point,
better than nothing.
So-
Hey, well, I was wrong. That's cool.
but
Once out of every 100.
yeah, but you use that as an internal weapon. Like to me, like I never that was never a factor in like whether or not I can do it. It was just like, well, that's ridiculous. Let me go show you something else. Then when we were shopping to labels and we shopped for, and showcased for like everybody and their mother, and they all said the same thing. They're like, we love you, what you do, but we don't know what to do with you. The girl-fronted rock thing isn't really a thing, and my boss isn't going to be down for it, blah, blah, blah. Like,
There's already one girl.
There's already one
rock
girl on our
band.
roster, so that's
one.
yeah.
Jeez.
So we filled that slot.
I get people off.
Sorry,
Whoa.
I live in a bus full of boys. That's
Ba-da-ding.
gonna happen. It's about to happen. But then you like literally you get this defiance, and you're like, well, that's ridiculous. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
And now to be on this like tier of, hey, like you're looking at these women in this audience, and you're like, look. I didn't give up and I'm here and so can you.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
Yeah.
that's to me is awesome. So, but as far as hurdles go, my hurdles are absolutely internal and it's everything that I think about myself. I don't think about it. But given your statement, I don't agree with like, oh, it should just be a rock star. There is a difference. I got into
agree.
rock music for a very different reason than my male counterparts. And I also think about being a female. Like I know absolutely that I can pull off a song like I Get Off on You, Getting Off on Me, that some of my male counterparts, if they did that same exact song, would get like, shunned off the face of the earth for doing.
Sure.
So I'm aware of that. But you also use that and I'm very proud of it.
What about in terms of aesthetics? Like some of my female side musicians here who play bass for whoever, play bass for big acts and stuff. They talk about how a dude can roll out of the bus and look like me, a schlubby rock guy, but they feel more pressure to be more aesthetically pleasing or to have they have to worry about how they look, whereas they feel like men least so.
Absolutely. There is something to that, and the way that I combat that, because I go through that too, where it's like, even today, like I'm wearing blush for you guys, even though it's a podcast. It's like, I don't know, we could take pictures later. It gets on the internet. You go through that in your head. At the same time, I could just say screw it one day and be like, I'm not going to do that anymore on stage, and I would still feel awesome once I get out on that stage, because when I get on stage, there's a thing that happens where everything makes sense in my life, and everything, it doesn't matter what I look like or what's going on. If I'm sweaty, it doesn't matter. I feel sexy and I feel like the best version of me. So I try to talk about that with some of my female counterparts that are like struggling with that a little bit, and like, I gotta be skinny and I gotta like look good and I gotta have my hair this way. Truth be told, if you bring it on stage, it doesn't matter what you look like.
Totally.
So you just have to kind of like, again, with that internal battle, you have to get, that's what you got to like focus on, and that, get to that point where you're okay with
cool.
everything in yourself.
It's great advice.
That's awesome. That's the buzz on stage.
That's the buzz, man. I have to watch that movie now.
Yeah.
Like again,
Do the boys
for the 40th
feel a sense of protection, sisterly, brotherly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's part of it, right?
Yeah, totally.
Not that you need to be protected and all that stuff. I don't want to trigger any super liberal snowflakey people.
Well,
But
whatever. Guys have gotten on stage before, and I mean, I'll Keith Richards, a motherfucker.
Yeah, man.
talk about what you're
they're my
referencing, because that's
allies.
one of the best things on the internet. When he takes his guitar,
It looks like it's like New Year's Eve or some shit. There's like
Mick's
shit
got a big
falling.
flag on him.
Yeah,
shit.
and some guy gets on stage, and right in the middle of the song, Keith's just playing. He just takes the guitar strap off his shoulder and gets ready to swing like a baseball bat before the guy, and then just puts it back on and keeps,
his
keeps
level
rocking.
of cash during that whole scenario is remarkable.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and it's funny because it's like there is a camaraderie on stage, and like, and and I mean, there is the factor that I'm a girl too, and I do like to dress up, and it's fun with the high heels and the short skirts. So there's that too. But these guys, like, we're all like, same thing. If somebody gets like back to Little Bro, it's like you don't mess with Little Bro.
Yeah, it's a family,
it's like that kind of thing. So they're my
we have
allies.
security now that we tour with, and man, I've never seen some of these big guys move so fast. Like it is. Hilarious.
It's amazing when you tour security, and like you hope that they don't ever have to use their skills.
Yes.
You hope that
You
that
don't wanna
doesn't
see
come
that.
to that. No. But so when I was at Kings of Leon, they traveled 2 guys. And one time I finally got to see one of those dudes unleash on a crazy fan that tried to bum rush the stage.
That's amazing.
It was incredible.
I bet it's kind of scary too.
Oh, yeah.
Scary, but I've been waiting. It was a student named Drew who is this gigantic, massive dude.
Yeah, probably a sweetheart too.
Oh, the nicest
yeah,
dude.
because
They're
all
super
sweet.
sweet.
And
Absolutely.
so you never want to see like when all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, this beautiful man, is beating the living shit.
Oh, it was great. No, it was at the K-Rock Almost Acoustic Christmas, and this dude ran through like pipe and drape and tried to go up these stairs, and he just turned around. It was just like one hand. It was like the Undertaker, and he just like threw him off the stairs.
my gosh.
Went down. Just tossed him like a little doll.
Look,
It was
I'd had a lot to
amazing.
drink that night. I was
Oh.
going through a lot.
And that's how me and Clint met. Yeah.
Did you see that Stone Sour video in Russia?
Yes.
That their security guy, like, it was
Yeah.
like,
Is that where Corey at the end's like, get off my stage,
he's
bro?
like, you don't
He's
come
like,
up.
he's like, sucks to be you, bro, or
Yeah,
whatever he
yeah.
said. Yeah.
No, he's right. Like,
No, I agree.
Things changed when Dimebag got shot.
Big time.
Yep,
know,
absolutely.
It started to get real scary.
Yeah, and you don't know someone's intention, and it's not. We got to feel safe up there.
And you don't belong there. Like, you really don't. That's not
Yeah.
for
You don't jump behind the counter at Starbucks and try to make your own coffee.
Yeah.
Well, not anymore.
Let them do it. Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. They frown upon that.
Have you seen that video of Maynard James Keenan? The guy jumps up and they're singing the song "Push It." I don't know if you guys are Tool fans, but he puts him in this like Brazilian jiu-jitsu hold and he sings the whole song.
Oh, Maynard does?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Like during the Enema, it's like 96, 97.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're doing festivals with them this summer. I'm pumped.
Oh, right.
My first concert that I
Europe
bought
shit.
tickets to was Tool.
Really? Which record?
Ladderless.
Yeah,
So
love
during
it.
that, yeah,
I saw that tour.
I went with
Unbelievable.
I went with a date. He fell asleep, and
Fell asleep?
yeah, that was a good test because we didn't speak after that.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, that was a good. It was like, okay, we're not going to work out.
So we have 2 more questions. We're going to let you guys get out of here. Unless you want to live with me and my family now.
Yeah, I can move in too.
What's
saw
for
the-
dinner?
I saw the trike outside. That's awesome.
Okay.
That's mine.
Is that
I
yours?
ride it over here. Yeah.
That's how you think
With the little huffy.
Like right by Opry Mills,
With the
there's a little
streamers.
bridge that goes into my neighborhood, so it's really easy to get over
It's
there.
It only took about 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Your knees up to your ears.
Oh yeah.
just-
I left on Sunday. Yeah.
So the last 2 questions are touring questions, so those should be easy. Number 1 is from Aurelian Moreau. He says, which extent does the size of the attendance impact your set list? So big festival versus when you go back and do the Croc Rock or the Croc Festival.
Croc
the
Rock?
Croc Festival.
What is it called? What's the thing you do?
The Croc Festival is the festival for the Crocs, for the
For the
shoes.
crocodiles?
For the shoes.
Oh, you
yeah.
have to wear Crocs.
Yeah. Which
Sorry.
is super metal.
What's the Croc thing?
Wait. There's a.
Croc Rock.
The term Croc Rock and
like
Allentown.
Allentown.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, there's a festival for
The venue
Crocs?
they got started.
Why aren't we booked for
that's
this?
a venue. Sorry.
It's a venue, yeah.
But yes. All right. So
Do you like Crocs is what we're asking.
We love Crocs. And
How many pairs of Crocs do you own between the 2 of you?
none actually.
shit.
So do you guys play the same set every night? Who writes the set list? Let's just do
No.
that
No,
kind
we
of.
do a different set. Of
Yeah, we change the set every night, and with this whole first like the record came out in July, so the last 6 months of touring, we switch it up every night. But we've been switching it between like, there's like 20 songs we'll kind of pick from to switch it up and try different moments with things, and start out with a ballad maybe one night could be weird, or start out blazing for 5 songs in a row.
I kind of like shows that have a slow burn.
Yeah, it's different.
Some
and,
nights that really works, and some nights it's like, okay, well, let's not do that tomorrow. It's,
well, and if it's like a festival, like to me, you want to kind of go out there and hit them with
Big
your
time.
good stuff. And
Yeah,
like
for sure.
all the things that maybe they would have heard. There's nothing I love more than like going to see a band for the first time and then realizing, oh wait, I've heard like all of these songs. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
And like this year coming up, we've been talking about setlist a little, and it's we were playing a lot of new songs this last 6 months, like 7 to
New
9 a night.
Oh wow.
And
All from Vicious, all from the new record.
Yeah.
How are those songs going? Like,
they're-
are you enjoying playing them live?
they're so much fun
They're
live.
awesome.
We spent a lot the last few years talking about like songs and riffs that sound good in giant venues when it's bouncing everywhere. Like going really fast, like Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Doesn't always translate
There's
so
nuance
well
in there that's hard to-
in
yeah.
a big thing, but like big riffs like Black Vulture. That's
That's a great album opener, by the way.
Oh yeah,
thanks.
it really is.
Really killer. I love the second track too, Skulls.
Skull, yeah.
You guys playing that one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one's so much fun.
Skulls are being empty skulls, filling their empty lungs with the wrong kind of drugs. Baby, what have we become? Are being empty skulls, dumb enough for blood. Forgot about the love, just another empty Damn, show another line, bring the other side, make up another lie. If you can't see eye to eye, feature empty skull, leave the TV on, believe what you want. If you can't see right or wrong, I can close my eyes and make it fade. I won't shut my mouth and take it. God, no, I won't be another empty skull. No, I will give you something beautiful. Skulls are being empty skulls, filling their empty lungs with the wrong kind of drugs. Maybe what have we become? Are being empty skulls, dumb enough for blood. Forgot about the love, just another empty.
And it's great because I have all the guys singing the harmonies with me, so it's like it's been a nice like step up as far as our musicianship level, because all of us have to sing and play and meld together at the same time.
It's like simple riffs, but that song was tough to get right.
The simplest
Yeah, yeah.
stuff is
To get
the
right
hardest.
live.
Yeah.
And to get right together, you know, like
Yeah.
give or take anybody's energy level at the moment.
It really surprised me to hear that those songs are written that way because they sound so well. They sound so well written. They really
Oh,
are.
thanks.
Like especially Skulls is like the hook, the lyric, it's all
Yeah.
right.
Thank you. You know, it's funny how things come together. It's like when you're involved in it, and this is, I'm gonna like cop off of a Joe Walsh quote, but it's like there's when that guy he's
I was wondering who
I-
that was on your amp.
Dude. Joe.
I thought that was you maybe in some
I wish,
in
buddy.
some
blonde-haired
other-
form.
in some blonde-haired form. No, but like he made this comment as something to the effect of like when you're in it, it feels like chaos and you're just throwing stuff anywhere and just like following whatever gets you excited and like, okay, I think that's cool. And then when you look back, it seems like this finely crafted novel. Like
Yeah.
you have
Yeah,
been,
totally.
this
For
is
sure.
like destiny. And that's how it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that. And it's funny with the bigger venues versus the small ones, because when you're in an intimate setting, you're going beyond the handshake. You're like, it's not like, hey guys, we're Halestorm, look at us for attention. Now it's like, okay, you're here, you know what we've done, so let's go take it further.
Yeah.
Now when
Yeah.
we're like, it's a mass scale and we're playing like Download Festival, the audience is no longer like these individual people. Now it's this big monster that you have to kind of like ebb and flow.
Massive energy.
And then if
Yeah.
you think about it, like this is an exchange of energy. So like you're only 4 people putting that out there, and then you're getting it back 1,000 times. So to combat that and to like really ride that wave all together,
Yeah.
it's like it's a different animal. So yeah, you form your set in different.
You know what I'm thinking? Hearing you guys talk, your fans are real lucky to have you guys.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, well,
That you guys
thanks.
think that much about shit like that.
Well, you guys care
fun
about
for
every
us.
aspect of your band and everything that goes into it, whether it's from the set list to touring to what
I
goes
mean
in the
it. You-
record
your
to
fans are lucky.
leads and
Well, it's the difference
cool.
between drinking alone and drinking with a bunch of your best friends. It's like, I love playing. I can play in my living room all day long.
Yeah.
But it's so much cooler when you're involved with people that are just love the same kind of music you do, and
Absolutely.
and you're making these moments and you're making somebody go, oh, cool, you know.
I love
Yeah.
drinking alone at the sink. Maybe a single silver tear slides down.
Sometimes
and
that
maybe
is
I'm listening to the
appropriate.
Coming to
Yes.
America soundtrack.
Right.
But it's better with your friends.
But it's better
it's
with
better
friends.
with your friends always, especially that soundtrack.
All right, the last question before we let you guys split is a simple one. Graham Stark asks, "Who's been your favorite band to tour with?" Because you guys are kind of road dogs. That's kind of part of your deal, right?
you stay
tour a
busy.
lot.
I love his name, Graham Star. That's cool.
Graham Star.
Yeah, rock
Stark.
star. Oh, Stark. Ooh,
Even better.
hip,
Ooh,
hip with the
winter
kids.
is coming.
Exactly. Let me show you
excited.
guys something.
He's got more to show you.
Oh,
So-
he's leaving.
Because you guys mentioned Game of Thrones.
Can't wait for Game of Thrones to come out in April.
So best band we've.
Oh, hey,
Oh,
buddy.
nice.
Okay, so
My wife thinks he's a cutie pie.
Oh,
I
so
got this
So you got that for
I
your
haven't
wife?
even seen this.
It's a cardboard cutout of
That could be James Franco
John-
too.
Of Jon Snow.
Snow.
So it's
by the
Jon
way.
Snow. That's like what, a 6-foot cutout?
Yeah, that's life size.
That's gorgeous.
That's pretty. Yeah.
I love that. I love that it's right at the bottom of the staircase before you walk up to your bedroom.
Oh,
It's like
it's gonna be
the
awesome
last
when
thing
you
you
have to
see.
like pee in the middle of the night or something. We're just like,
Yeah.
ah!
Oh my God.
We did. I just did that with a hat rack. I'm like, it's like, oh, someone's in the house. Oh no, it's just the hat rack.
Anyway, continue answering. That's just for
Anyway,
Inspirato.
yes, inspiration. So a favorite band that we've toured with.
Whether a support act for
Support-
you or
oh.
maybe you were supporting somebody.
Man, we've had so much fun with both of that. Like we took out the Deads on one of their first tours.
That's
and
awesome.
They were fantastic to tour with.
It was like seeing, like being on tour for the first time again, but seeing
Yeah.
it through their eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, they were so excited when there was chips and salsa and beer in the dressing room.
Wait, we can drink this?
Yeah, they were
This
so
is
funny. They're
ours?
like, "There's chips and salsa." I'm like, "Yeah, everyone should have."
We can
chips
take it
and
back
salsa.
to
I
our
don't know.
van after the show?
But it's interesting because we remember like we got spoiled on our first national tour, and then we went immediately to the next tour and had to like fight for a couple bottles of water. So it's like
Yeah.
we know both sides of those things. So like you got to make sure it's good for everybody. You're like we're all a part of
Yeah,
this.
if you come
tour
out on
together.
tour with us, you're gonna be treated well.
You're gonna
That's
have
good.
you're
Those are
gonna
the
have
rules.
fun, and we're just gonna have a great time together. So favorite like that we've opened for. Eric Church was definitely one of them.
Yeah, those country boys, they party way harder than
How
any
long?
rock and rollers.
How long
Yeah.
was that tour that you did with Eric and
It was
Dwight?
like over a.
I think it was like November, December, and then we
Month and
did
a
some
half?
January, February stuff.
Yeah, we did it
too.
in
so maybe 30 to 50 shows, like
Yeah,
a
they
good bit of
ruined
shows.
me for whiskey though, man. It's like those
Yeah,
guys
we
can
drink. We drink a lot.
Holy crap!
We
I
have
know
to.
what the hell are you guys doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, how?
It was fun. He had like he has a bar set up every venue that like they're only like the core band and the first crew guys that are still with him can have access to.
Yeah.
They can bring people in if they want, but you can't go in unless you have the special pass. And they would always invite us back there. And
That's
there was
cool.
like a popcorn machine, hot dogs.
You like roll in your vinyl set up with you too. Like, can we bring this?
We
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
have
that's
that
your
at the
backstage
time.
pass
There you
right
go.
there.
We didn't
Yeah.
have that at the
Did you
time.
guys watch Dwight's set? That's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
to behold.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
when he
Especially
motherfucks
as a-
all his crew, like
Oh, he's just yelling at everybody the whole time.
yeah,
Great.
get him.
He will. I've seen him like bend on bills with him when I'm watching this because he's kind of a hero here, especially
Yeah.
as a guitar player and songwriter. But I've seen him like on stage. Their stage volume is super loud. At least when
Yeah.
I've seen him.
If it's not feeding back, his
Exactly.
monitor guy gets fired.
And I've seen him just turn around and like give a note to the drummer like that head's out of tune or something. Like I'm like, how does he hear that?
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
That's crazy.
And it's awesome because like you know from like Sling Blade, you know,
Right.
too.
Right, yeah.
And then you realize like after like you have some shows with him, like and this is a complete compliment by the way, but like he wasn't acting.
No,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He is that
That's
guy
just him.
For sure.
You know, which is awesome.
Need a manager.
He's a rock star.
Randy?
But
What
but
does he
it's
say?
crazy because on that tour too, like he's a country guy. Eric is a country guy, and it was a country tour, but it was a rock show.
They're both rock stars, really.
Like,
in
Right,
that
yeah.
world.
They had like a huge blow up demon, and
Yeah.
they did like
Right.
crazy stuff. So that was cool. Rock band wise, I mean,
There's been so many
It's
good
just-
dudes that
Did you guys
have
tour with
taken-
Stone Sour?
Yeah,
they're
those
awesome.
guys are amazing.
Stone
Corey
Sour,
and
Awesome.
Disturbed, Seether, trying to like
the
rattle
Shinedown
off.
Boys have always been real nice to us.
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're
And-
cool. Who would you? So I know you guys are at a certain level where you don't have to do this much, but who would you want to be on tour with? Maybe in a direct
Oh,
support.
yeah, you never run out of dreams. Metallica would be awesome.
Metallica,
Obviously, I would die.
which your peers, Ghost, which you guys started around the same time as Ghost, they're doing the European tour.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
definitely
I know,
something
we're
on the
just
table.
I'd love to do a tour with Ghost, man. I don't think they have.
You
bands
guys
opening
would
up.
be a great bill.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, that would be awesome.
That would be cool.
Yeah, no, it would be a killer
Ghost
bill.
Foo
But
Fighters, obviously, that would be awesome too.
yeah, we've never played with, not even at festivals. Like
Yeah.
we're doing Lollapalooza Stockholm this summer, and we're on the Lana Del Rey day, not the Foo Fighter day. I'm like,
Hey, I
Who's in
don't know if
charge?
you guys are hip to her or not, but she's the shit. You should
Apparently,
check
it's
it out.
awesome. Yeah, like there's a girl that's been our PA who's been working with us for like 8 years. She's like, no, you actually have to.
It's
you have
real
to
dope.
See it.
It's real
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So
I would love to see you guys with Iron Maiden.
that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
I think that'd be cool.
That would be awesome. I
How
would love
about
that.
how about who do you guys want to bring out? Who do we not know
Oh,
about yet that you guys are turned on to that
you
you
know
want
what?
to bring out?
Yeah, right. Besides everyone
Besides
in this
me and
room.
Besides anal vomit. Come on.
Besides anal
Me and
vomit,
Clint
yes.
could do a Jim Brewer
Actually-
thing before your set. How about that?
Actually, we should contact anal vomit. That'd be
You
awesome.
should.
Dude,
That would
I'm gonna
just-
be their
That'd
manager
be just
now.
so random. Well, we're doing that right now. We have a a tour coming up with our friends in Bisto Blanco and Chuck Garrick, the bass player, is Alice Cooper's bass player.
Oh, nice.
cool.
And then and then Alice Cooper's daughter Calico is in the band too. So
Oh,
like we're
that's
bringing
awesome.
those guys out. They're amazing. There's also a duo, Ida May, who are absolutely. It's like if Chris Stapleton and Jeff Buckley were Iron and Wine.
Wow.
You know, that's what that is.
It's called-
and
what's it called?
Ida May.
Ida May.
British.
IDA.
They just moved to
They're
Nashville.
British. Yeah.
Really?
They're
It
British.
sounds familiar.
They're the sweetest.
Ethan Johns made their record.
Oh,
which-
great.
Oh.
Yeah, they're the
nice.
sweetest
I
couple.
like him.
And it's just a duo, and the husband sings and plays guitar, and then his wife sings backup and does percussion.
Oh, cool.
And it's just really cool.
Yeah,
so
they-
there's
Then
that
you could bring the
too.
cowbell and sit in with him.
Right? Oh God! Can you imagine? They're doing this beautiful but his voice is amazing.
gotta
It's-
watch the live
I
stuff
haven't
about it.
haven't heard since listen to some live Buckley or something. I haven't heard a voice do that. in a
That's
while.
awesome.
I heard about him because I would follow him on Instagram. Was Surf Burst was his thing, and he was always putting out like these killer. He's such a great guitar player, like slide things. And,
Yeah.
we saw him when their first show in Nashville right before they moved here at the basement, and it was like transcendent. It was like, oh my
Yeah.
god,
Wow, that's cool.
They're doing like a lot of Greta Van Fleet opening up for those kids.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then
Okay.
like
Yeah,
locally here, there's they're local here. There's Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown.
Yeah.
Oh, Tyler
and then
Bryant's awesome.
and then there's Larkin Poe.
Larkin
Yeah.
Poe's great.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
amazing. There's just so many good ones.
I know we always bring this up, then
I know,
blank
I
out
know.
a little.
You guys are at a point where you're able to decide who comes with you within reason.
Yeah,
you
within
can
reason.
say-
Like there are some areas where we basically kind of throw it out to the promoter too, where it's like, hey,
Like,
what
do
do
the
you
promoters
think?
want?
Right, yeah.
And like with this one, we kind of did a combo because we have Bisto Blanco and then pronounce their name. again.
Palais Royale
Palais Royale
is direct support.
Is
and
direct support.
That was a lot of the promoters' idea, but they're an awesome band, and we're like,
They're
oh yeah,
awesome.
that's a great idea.
So we have a combo of the two.
Amazon.
Yes.
I know my Moog just got delivered at home. I have one of those doorbell cameras.
Oh,
I had to get it
nice.
fixed, and it just came back and it's sitting on the porch.
Which
right
Moog?
now.
Like a synthesizer or a pedal?
The Sub 37.
Okay, cool.
Subscreen. That thing is awesome.
This is way less cool than that. It's U2 on vinyl, their greatest hits record, because it has Electric Storm on it. It's the only way to get it on vinyl, and then it's also a new pair of shoes.
Do you have to sign for that, or are we good?
No, I'm good.
Sweet.
no.
I mean, we'll have some
we're
more
living
there.
in a
We can have
beautiful
Kit
age
Harington
of
do-
procrastination. You don't have to leave your seat.
You don't really have to talk to any other people.
No,
if
you don't
don't
have to
want
talk to
This was
anybody.
a great exercise in me being a human being just today.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys in my living
Yeah,
room.
this I think is my preferred. Like I know, like we're doing a podcast and everything,
Right.
but like this is my preferred.
I haven't been
social
recording for like
environment.
90 minutes.
Oh no, yeah, we stopped a while
We've just
ago.
been talking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. We're just like no.
Speaking of that,
We stopped after the cowbell things. That was kind of the pinnacle, I think, of the episode.
we
That-
never
we
recovered.
peaked there, and then it
$100
was all
cowbell,
downhill.
it stopped.
It is cool that you guys came over here. I really appreciate it.
No,
Yeah,
no
thank you,
problem.
guys.
Thank you for having us.
I love the
seriously.
combo. Hailstorm, the new record, Vicious.
It's so good.
Badass,
Get
by
it
the
on
way.
get it on vinyl, by the way, because as you've heard, we're all.
I'm embarrassed to say
audiophiles
that
in
I
here.
have it now, but I didn't want to bring it out here because I thought you guys wouldn't think I was cool. That's Neil Young and that's Randy Newman. Oh yeah,
And I also
Vicious.
have this thing. It's a classic.
You put me next to Coming to America.
Actually, I would be honored.
I'll put your record next to my Karate Kid vinyl. How about that?
Oh, nice.
What's
Oh.
your most expensive vinyl? What's your
I have
one?
I know this because I have my Discogs.
Yeah, I have mine.
I have a
Discog.
19.
Are you on Discogs too? Nice.
I have a 1994 Tom Petty Wildflowers, which is worth
Me too.
$500. It's up to 500.
I saw it for the only time I've ever seen it for sale was in Denmark in Aarhus. It was $800
Whoa.
US they wanted for it.
Crazy.
I bought it for $14.99 in a little shop in Birmingham.
What?
Maybe 10 years ago.
That's my favorite record of all time, bar none. Wildflowers.
I'm not sure.
Wildflowers.
Yeah.
I have to go through
like
and let's see
Desert
what my
Island, yeah.
most expensive one is. It might be Alice in Chains, the self-titled. The
That's
tripod.
super rare.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was going to be. I bought it brand new when it came out.
That's
I just
amazing.
bought an original pressing of what Alice in Chains record? Did,
Oh,
A facelift?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's super rare. They haven't reissued that at all.
No,
That's
I
that's
found
a
that
hard
in our
one.
house. That record shop.
I had a few
is
that
the
came
shit.
down in price because of reissues. Like I had
Oh,
the
really?
original Color and the Shape, Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
See, 90s stuff is just gold.
I
Because
never think about how it comes down once they.
And, I mean,
once
not
it
I mean,
gets released. Yeah.
certain records, not a lot though. If there's mega fans out there, it'll keep that price up. But that one came down a
like
little
Pearl
bit.
Jam just re-released a lot of their 90s stuff, and that shit was like gold before. Like you couldn't buy No Code. No Code was like $700.
Yeah, I still
and they reissued it.
I still have Verses on vinyl original.
The original pressings are still valuable. A Facelift, they're going to reissue Facelift for sure. They've already done Dirt and Jar of Flies.
Yeah.
But
that's gonna
Facelift,
happen.
that's valuable.
All right, I'm looking
Are
at
you,
my
Lizzie? Do you go deep on this kind of shit too?
I go more. I'm more like down memory lane kind of thing. So like
Yeah.
the last thing that I'm like super proud of it wasn't necessarily pricey, but I found a Schools Out vinyl in was it Sweden we were at?
It was
And-
our house, that same joint.
Our house, yeah, and it has the panties on it.
Oh,
like
man.
nobody, because I have like one that obviously that gets lost in the shuffle.
Sure.
Like, but I had the like original thing. It was like super new, and I'm like, okay, that's cool.
So you're a big Alice Cooper cat. That's
I am. There's something about, and I know, like, look, there's I have like box set situation. Like you go back to some of that early stuff, and some of it is just like it's trashy in such a cool way.
Yeah.
A lot of it is sparse, and you can see the progression of when that character like starts becoming like I am now a cartoon character, like figuring it out. I love the journey of it. And like that whole campus, they're such nice people too.
That's awesome.
So and Alice is just such a genuine human being. I've gotten up to sing with him, and with I can't think of the Hollywood and Dead guys and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was nerve wracking too, because not only are you like rock star royalty, but there's like movie star situation
There's
there.
Johnny Depp.
So you're like, there's so much power on stage, and they.
I think you meant the Hollywood Vampires.
That was that I said? I'm sorry.
you said Hollywood and
Vampires.
Dead,
Yeah, sorry.
I
the
was
other
confused here for a
Hollywood,
second.
yes. I couldn't think of it. I'm like, Hollywood, that came out. No, but anyway, yeah. So like, I'm a big fan. I have a question for you guys though. Like,
okay.
knowing what you
Finally.
know, what you know about us and like this record and like what you like about what we do. Like, what do you think like in the like metal world? What artist do you think that we should go back and like really dig into their catalog?
Whoa,
we
what a
might
great
have,
question.
We might have already done it, but I'm always like looking to like things that I've overlooked over the years. Like maybe even things that like I know, but I didn't really dig
Metallica.
in. Well,
the thing
Well,
that
yeah.
actually
Ever heard of
one of the
Anthrax?
things one of the things that our listeners really like about Ethan and I is that we're not like super dyed in the cast metal guys.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of. I mean, I'm kind of going through a big Dave Matthews thing right now.
oh, that's awesome.
And then like being a songwriter, I'm kind of listening to a lot of shit. But Metallica's obviously a big one for me.
Sure,
but,
of course.
I mean, I listen to a lot of like Lil Peep
Okay.
and Lana Del Rey. And
Yeah, so like let's like take the metal out of it. Like, what do you
have you had
think-
a The Cure thing?
Yeah,
Because
not
that might
really.
be might be cool
As a
for
guitar
you.
player too,
Not
man.
really.
There's some cool stuff on the Cure
That might be
records.
cool for you guys. Or Smith's kind of an '80s Brit pop.
I've always
Yeah,
had a problem with the Smiths.
We've
I don't
never
know.
really dug
Thank
into
you.
that.
I just have a problem with
You
it.
know
I don't
what?
know why.
Maybe it's
just
time
his
to dig
voice,
in.
Maybe. I don't know.
But that's what I want. But that's what I want because for me, it's like even with the Cure, it's like you grow up knowing like okay, you know some of the songs, and so you don't feel like you really need to reintroduce. I did that with the Divinals, right? So like they had that "When I Think About You," and like no, everybody hated that song, but if you reach back to their catalog, none of their other songs sound like
Right,
that.
yeah.
That was just something that they did. It ended up being their big hit, whatever. But they're like this weird Blondie meets Police punky thing, and her voice is so weird.
Yeah.
And so like that's what I'm looking for is like, oh, you know what? I actually haven't dug into
Maybe some Tori Amos if you haven't done that.
Cool.
That would be cool for like to. You're gonna write what sounds like Halestorm no matter what. Like I
Well,
tell
that's
people
what
all
I'm saying.
the
Like absorb.
I tell people all the time.
You know?
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
people hear some of the songs I write, they find their way onto like country records or in film and TV. They don't sound like Metallica.
No.
But it's
You
like
take
sometimes
from
I
it.
think about what the Load and Reload records in particular. They influence almost everything I sit down to write,
Oh,
even
yeah.
if it doesn't sound like it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. We keep calling it the idiot filter. Like we could probably listen to we don't. Yes, I know, but we could listen to a song and like try to write the same song, and it would sound completely different
Sure,
because
yeah.
we just don't. It's like it goes. You get so far removed from it.
I know. I always write these riffs, and I'm like, does that
that
sound too much like that? Like, well,
I'm like, I don't
maybe,
hear that at
but-
all. What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
What are you guys excited about? What are you guys listening to personally?
Right now, man.
I gotta say, and it's
I know.
a bit of a guilty pleasure, but I really like that new Bring Me the Horizon record, especially that rock stuff. Have you heard like Wonderful Life?
I haven't heard their new stuff.
I haven't either.
So, some of the stuff on the record, it gets a little dance pop, like as far as track to track. But there is a good chunk of the record which it just drops so heavy.
And the sound, like the
Yeah,
production is
yeah.
like there's
Yeah.
this amazing low end, and it just when it comes on next to other newer rock songs, it just blows them away
You think
sonically.
they probably use tracks live then.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think-
they have a lot
there's
going
definitely
on. Yeah.
even when we saw them live, it's like, okay, there were a lot of people on stage. I'm sure they're doing something, but
Yeah.
there's definitely that.
I'm sure
sheen.
they're doing
They're doing
something.
Well,
something.
no, yeah, like I'm sure there's something there because they, they seem like great musicians,
Yeah.
But yeah, that and High on Fire, we listened to
Love
a
High on
bunch.
Fire. I'm like a High on Fire kick.
Yeah.
What's a record to check out?
High on Fire?
Yeah.
The new one is sick.
The latest.
Just the new one?
Yeah.
What's it called? Electric Messiah?
Yeah, that was it.
Love the title.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Electric
That'd be
Messiah.
great with Anal Vomit.
That'd be
It really
awesome.
would.
Electric Messiah. Good night, Dark Continent.
Electric Messiah!
Yeah.
You gotta,
I've been listening to nothing but that Jillian Baker record. Have you heard her?
Yeah, it's this Nashville
Oh,
chick.
cool.
She's from Memphis but lives here. She's this great guitar player, real ambient, and her whole record is nothing but guitar or piano.
Oh, nice.
And it's such a good chill record.
she was in that
Oh.
article that
Oh,
we read, the
yeah,
GQ
dude.
one, about sober musicians and
Oh yeah, I
dealing
saw that
with
one.
creativity
Jason
and-
Isbell's
Yeah,
in that one.
They
and
did
stuff.
such a
Sobriety,
good
yeah.
job with that article. But yeah, no, that's funny because I had marked it. I'm like, I should really dig into this. I will.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
her newest record's great.
That's super cool. Awesome.
It's nice to hear bands like you guys are still interested in that kind of thing. Still
yeah.
still looking.
it's tough. Like I go through new music every Friday trying to find something that is
Get inspired.
exciting and new, and it's it's turning into like one or two records a year. Like when I really like something, I always want to. I got to go back. I got to hear it. I want to listen to it on
Yeah.
repeat over
Yeah.
and over. And
Yeah, you devour a single record.
it's hard for me to find those records.
I think you have to work harder for it the older we get and the more we do the job that we do, which is just immersion in the industry. It's like,
Well, and more that's out there too.
and the content is just like a fucking waterfall now.
We were just having this conversation at the Metallica concert, and that's another reason why I loved that show was because I didn't for one moment think about like, oh, well, that's what that happened there, whatever, because like you're involved in this industry, so you can't help but think about all the things that happened behind it.
Absolutely.
Like when you listen to a record, you're like, oh, that was probably producer's idea, whatever whatever you're thinking about, or like that's like that, or like even from a production standpoint, you're thinking about all those things
Oh
too.
yeah, they used an L1176 instead of an LA2A
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
vocal. I can hear it.
Yeah, well, there's that aspect, but you remember like when you were a kid and you knew nothing about that. Like I remember my dad explaining to me when we were at some show, and like, oh, that's a roadie, and that's why. What are these people doing? Oh, they're changing over the set.
Yeah.
Even like at a basic level, like I didn't know that before then. Like whoa, that's crazy. It was still so magical. So I think part of it is like this hunger to like keep that excitement. So that's why you keep reaching.
Why do you think this
But-
room looks like this?
Yeah, absolutely. But that was the great
That's
thing
exactly what it is.
about Metallica was that like I was just lost in it, and
Yeah.
there was such simplicity and beauty to what they did that I wasn't thinking about that at all. Like
Right.
I
in
think
that
it's an important thing, all of us as musicians, the older we get, to still find ways to get lost in music. That's a good way to put it, because like
yeah.
any record that I get lost in, it's such a great feeling, especially if you're by yourself, put on headphones and you just zone
When I was
out
a
to
kid
something.
and a song would fade, I thought the band kept playing it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like
Yep.
they're still playing
Because
it.
they're still to this
it's
day.
still going. Yeah.
Like like Rain When I Die from Dirt, they're still playing
It's
Rain
still
When I Die,
going, yeah.
even with Lane Staley, who
Yep.
isn't alive anymore.
That's
somehow they're
amazing.
doing it. Yeah.
In some parallel universe.
Exactly.
Well,
what's
remember we
happening.
went to the 10 years show, and it had been like a, we had been off tour for a second, and like just enough time to like lose your mind a little bit, and there's this thing that happens with me anytime we have a significant amount of time off, which isn't that much, but when it happens. Whereas you go through this almost post-tour depression thing where it's like, I
it's
just
the
feel,
blues,
I
for
just
sure.
feel bummed for no reason, and I always forget about it, and I can't explain it. And then I remember we were at that 10 years show, and I turned to him, I'm like, I physically am recognizing now the cloud that is lifted when you're in an audience and you're watching a show, and you just get lost in it, and like the way that it affects you, like physically and mentally, and like just to be able to like just take a moment and like recognize that is so important.
It's medicine.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that's why you're in it, and so like to me it's like that's you're chasing after that too.
Let's all say it together. That's
The
Buzz. We've come full circle, everyone.
just get it over with. If this is true, just let it be. Why can't my heart scream free from this frightening dream? Flash before my eyes. Now it's time to die. Burning in my brain, I can feel the flame.
Thank
I'm
you
not
guys.
trying to kick you
Congratulations.
guys out, but I think it's
That
the
was really
end.
good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the end.
I think that's the over,
That's
right?
the
Did we
buzz.
do it?
You did it really. That was great.
I can find something in Clint's fridge to make us all for lunch.
Well, thank
Are
you
the kids
guys.
all right? Do I need to go pick them up?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
You should, and plus you've got a Moog product waiting on your front porch.
Oh yeah, I got to go take care of that.
Actually, I'm going to hit stop now.
All right.
If you were our advisor, what would you say? Then I would say delete that.